Hey guys, it's Tim and this is Pro Wrestling Unlimited. As it is Saturday, if you're on the West Coast, the 30th still, 2023. Tonight was AEW Worlds End. And I'm going to talk about the show with our special guest right over here. We got In the Clicks, Baby Huey. Huey, it's been a while since I've had you on the channel. How have you been? How was your Christmas? Any New Year's plans? What's going on?
First off, thank you, man. Thank you for having me back on. I've missed you and really excited to be on here with you, talk about tonight's AEW Worlds End. But yeah, as far as Christmas goes, it was awesome. I got to spin it with the San Francisco 49ers. I was out at...
So with that, I showed my son that picture and he got so jealous.
Oh,
he is massive everything 49ers.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
I'll have to see if I can find some Niners stuff for him. But yeah, the photo Tim's referring to is before the game, I took my dad and my brother onto the field down at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara before the Niner game. And Jerry Rice was there. So we took a group photo and he was just super awesome to talk to. He was flashing one of his Super Bowl rings.
Nice.
And yeah, you can see the photo on my Twitter at BabyHuey83 as Tim has nicely displayed right there. And then, yeah, no, it was great. I mean, I know the Niners lost, but it was a tough game to watch them lose in person, but with all the turnovers. But I think a lot of people predicting early predictions. Maybe that's a future Super Bowl matchup.
Oh, yeah.
Knock on wood. They're the Niners. But for me, I'm like, okay, I'm fine with the Niners losing now. Get out of their system and go on the tear for the last couple weeks of the regular season, and then go on a tear in the playoffs. So fine by me. Use this as a humbling moment for them just to kind of collect themselves and go on in the season on a high note. But yeah, other than that, Christmas was a lot of fun with family and like spending with the Niners, with Kittle, Purdy, Debo, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, like I said, and my boy Tabor Pepper, the long snapper. So yeah, it was great to spend Christmas with the Niners. And yeah, I've been on vacation this week, and I'll be on vacation next week. So it's just getting much needed rest, man. These last few months at work have been extremely busy for myself. And so at 107.7 The Bone, the radio station I work at, the rock station in San Francisco. So it's I'm definitely using this time to recharge the batteries. And I can't wait for the new year, though. I'm excited. 2023, not going to lie, not to sound selfish, but it was a really awesome year for myself. I was able to accomplish a lot of great things, and I'm looking forward to 2024. So you're like my final thing I'm doing for this year. So
Nice.
Thank you for having me on with you.
So I showed my son the picture of you guys with Jerry Rice, but earlier in the season, my daughter got jealous when you posted the picture with Bailey on the field.
Oh,
Like Bailey has always been her wrestler. Always. It's always been Bailey.
Oh, we got to make, oh man, I feel like I got to get your son some Niner stuff. And yeah, somehow your daughter meet Bailey somehow. You know, Bailey is from the Bay Area, as we all know. And it was just coincidence. She had the day off on a Sunday and took advantage and went down to the Niner game. And I saw her on the field with me, because with my media pass, I can go on the field before the game. And I just walked up behind her and I tapped on her shoulder and said, so what do we got to do to have another WrestleMania return here at Levi Stadium? And she turned around, gave me a big hug, because I've known her for years and interviewed her a few times. So she's awesome. So yeah, we got to catch up there. So yeah, Bailey, I know she's a heel on TV, but you know, deep down, she's an awesome person.
Oh yeah, no. My daughter's like, she's a bad guy, but she's still my favorite.
Rightfully so. Good. She is awesome.
Yeah, no, she'll never stray from Bailey.
Good. And I feel like she's gonna have I know we're just supposed to talk AEW tonight,
Screw
but WWE related. I really think, you know, it's pretty obvious Damage Control is going to turn on her at some point. And she's going to have a big baby face return at some point with her character. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen. I mean, maybe the Royal Rumble, they throw her out or something, or she throws one of them out. Something could happen.
Exactly.
We're getting close to it. But with that, I want to say thank you guys for joining us here. Twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Remember, if you are watching live on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways. You can either help us out by hitting that donate button down below, or by donating Twitch bits in the live chat. Also, remember, you can help us out by subscribing to the channel, one of two different ways. You can either subscribe with a tiered subscription, or you can subscribe with Amazon Prime. Remember, if you have Amazon Prime, it gives you a bunch of cool things like free games, free stuff for games, and you always get one free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to subscribe to throughout the month. And I'd greatly appreciate it if you did right here, Pro Wrestling Unlimited. And remember, it doesn't even have to be your Amazon account that you link to your Twitch. It can be anybody's. So go over there, link it, do the stuff. Also, head over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that join button to become a channel member. And remember, you can donate a super chat to get your comment, question, or concern read live on the air. And finally, head over to the Epic Game Store. Head over to the Epic Game Store and buy something. Whether you're buying a new game, whether you're buying an old game, whether you're claiming a free game or getting bucks for Rocket League, Fortnite, or Fall Guys, use the code right down here on the screen, PW Unlimited, at checkout, and you'll be supporting us at no extra cost. Again, code PWU NLIMITED. Even if you're claiming the free game, which is Saints Row right now, you still get a kickback. So put it in on the Epic Game Store, or whether you're getting something for, like I said, Fortnite, Rocket League, or Fall Guys on your PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo Switch. So, today was a crazy day for AEW. I mean, we'll get into some of the Jericho stuff when you get to that match, but I think everybody's already heard all the stuff. There's no reason for us to reiterate it. I did a video this morning talking about everything that came out this morning. And all I will say is I heard the Kylie Ray stuff in 2019, but was never given a name, was never told it's this person. All I was told was somebody high up in the company. Wasn't told if it was an executive, wasn't told if it was a wrestler or anything, was just told some top person in the company. There was an issue where she felt uncomfortable and to the point where she didn't want to be in that company anymore. She asked for her release and got it. And so today's stuff came out saying she signed an NDA and that's how she got her release and this and that. She can't talk about it. So not really much more, again, like I said, to talk about with the Chris Jericho, Kylie Ray stuff until we get to the match with the speculation of what Darby was doing, the fans chanting for Kylie Ray and NDA. So yeah, I just wanted to get that out there. And I know the media scrum is going on right now. So I have Twitter up. I'm going to keep refreshing just in case anything comes from it.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I know what Joe has been speaking, but that's about it.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. It looks like Tony Storm is there, and Tony Khan is wearing her hat from her outfit.
Oh Lord! Here's my question. I haven't asked you this yet. What are your thoughts on this Tony Storm gimmick? I'll just say it's not for me. I liked it a little bit. It got old quick.
It's been entertaining as far as it's something different. It's a character versus some of the AEW wrestlers. It's just, I'm a big bad wrestler. I'm gonna go in the ring and just do a bunch of moves. At least she is trying to do something different from a personality standpoint. But you're right. To me, it's run kind of old quickly because she's playing this like 50s actress Scarlett in what's the term? This I'm trying to think of the right word for it. It's like she's a damsel in distress type of thing. And it's like, it's almost like she's in her own world, her own reality, and everyone else is just like observing, like, what's wrong with you? So it's kind of like, it's cool for a minute, but then it's like, okay, where's this going? Are you just forever going to be like you're in a haze? You're just out of body experience. So like, do you function like this all the time now? Like, what led to? I can't remember now. I mean, she got kicked out of the Outcast.
Yeah,
or had the falling out the Outcast, and all of a sudden she just started acting like this damsel in distress, and it's like, why was that? Because were you heartbroken that you're out of your little faction you had going? It just, I don't know, it's like, okay, it's kind of ran its course, and it's just kind of like, like I said, I think, some people might complain about AEW that they don't have enough characters or personalities to like gravitate towards. I think that's maybe people who are so used to WWE's style of pro wrestling and sports entertainment. So, like I said, I give her credit for trying to do something different from a character standpoint. But yes, the type of character that she's portraying, has felt like it's kind of ran its course already.
Like, was it last week where it was either last week or the week before, where she's like, I don't know who you are, to Mariah May, who's been with her for like 3-4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Also, I got to pull this up on the screen. This man, what the fuck, Tony Khan?
That's
the hat and the glasses. Like, what? And then people wonder why you can't take Tony Khan serious sometimes. The biggest mark of all of us.
I mean, I guess he's trying to use that as a distraction of what the real issues are that people want to know the answers to.
Well, I don't think they're going to ask those questions when Joe or Tony Storm or somebody. I think if they're going to ask those questions, I think they're smart enough, the media that's there for the most part. They're smart enough to wait till the end when Tony does his 20 minutes by himself or whatever. So
yeah, I've been in those media scrums. I was at the Revolution one at Chase Center in San Francisco earlier this year, and so yeah, you're right. It's at the end where he usually will have one-on-one time with the media in the room. So yeah, I guess everyone's waiting, anticipating. Looks like Tony Storm's leaving right now. She's about to get Tony.
Up. Well, she was just petting Mariah May a second ago. Like Mariah May knelt down, was looking up at her, and she like patted her on the head.
She didn't take the hat back. Tony Khan's still wearing it.
He's gonna wear it the rest of the time. Oh my god. I'm gonna have that hat and his big bottle of whatever that green water he's always got.
He has like a blue cup here.
Probably coffee. Just where they're East Coast. Almost 1 o'clock there.
Yeah, almost 1 a.m.
10, 11, 12. Yeah, it's wet. Yeah. Well, that's why I was listening to the Matt Man podcast with Andrew Zarian on Friday, and him and Rich were like, do we go to the media scrum? It's going to be like 1 o'clock before it even starts, probably.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Julia Hart's out there now.
Yep.
Which was interesting. We'll get there, but the women's title was first on the card, and the TBS title was later in the card, which I find that interesting.
Right.
I would think the other way around, because TBS title's the mid-card title for the women's division. So wouldn't that be earlier in the show in the main?
With the way
AEW?
Yeah, with the way Tony's talked before about making, the world title, the more important titles have to go on later. The way he's talking about that, I would think the same thing.
Interesting. Okay. So yeah, Julia Hart's there now. Wow, this is gonna be interesting just to kind of have this on in the background and see what happens. I mean, the chat's disabled, so I can't see people's comments or reaction to what they're saying in real time because I have this muted right here. But yeah, so no, like you said, we have Twitter open as well, and please, anyone who's able to comment in the comment section of your video on YouTube right now, the Pro Wrestling Unlimited channel, please let us know.
8 minutes ago, Joe sent out a tweet that said, "Damn. Ankle's gonna swell all these salty tears I'm drinking."
Oh, I just see it right now too. Yeah. Oh my god, man, what a day! Let's see.
Also, right now, WWE is in LA in the Forum. Punk's Wrestling Dom.
Yes, I saw a tweet video of him walking to the ring, and so very interesting because the Forum.
I think that match already happened.
Okay, so CM Punk, that's where he broke his ankle last year, right?
I think so. Yeah.
No crowd surfing, please, CM Punk tonight in LA.
Also, not a knock on AEW, but WWE sold way more tickets for this live event than they did for the pay-per-view in the same building a month ago.
Oh, between Full Gear and this house show here.
Wow. They're in the same building, and I think Full Gear. I can tell you right now. Hold on. Full Gear attendance. Full Gear did 12,000 estimated. Let's see what WrestleTix has for the WWE show, because I know it was already tracking to beat that. Let's see. 14. They did just short of 14,000 as of this morning. No word in the last 8 hours if more tickets were sold or not. But yeah, they did between 13 to 14. AEW only did 11 to 12. So I don't know if that's Punk or if that's WWE's just hotter than AEW right now.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So
I'm sure it's a combination of both at this point.
Oh, people posting Tony Khan in that hat now. All right, so as far as the show does go, we did have 3 matches take place on the buy-in. You watched the pre-show?
Yes, I did.
Right, cool.
I caught I caught it.
So The pre-show starts, and it's just Renee and RJ City, and they're talking about how Stokely Hathaway was supposed to be out there with them and stuff. And RJ's like, yeah, Stokely sometimes just doesn't like to do his job, so it's just going to be the two of us. And Renee's like, don't worry, I got someone coming out here shortly. And then they let us know Keith Lee is injured. Keith Lee did not compete tonight. Dustin Rhodes took his spot against Swerve. I mean, okay. The match wasn't bad or anything, but this is your sign to just let the Keith Lee Swerve stuff die. That's what I say. It's a year-old storyline that they never paid off, that the universe is telling them not to.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that it seems like there's more to this that no one's talking about, as Keith Lee tweeted out a couple hours earlier in the day that he's been dealing with the injury since Arthur Ashe last year, 2022. I don't know if you saw that tweet. Yeah, so he said he's been
So first hour of the pre-show is just previewing stuff. No matches until the second hour, which is kind of weird. No matches to the second hour. And so I don't know the context on this, but one of the quotes from the press conference, Tony Khan states, quote, AEW has the best record out of any best safety record out of any wrestling company in the world. I don't know what that means though. Safety record as far as what?
I guess as far as people out injured at one given time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I don't know. Big phrases or weird phrasing. It doesn't make sense.
So they're running down the card and everything. First hour ends. They tell us that we got a 20-man battle royal that's supposed to be starting at any time. And then Stokely Hathaway comes out. He goes to commentary. And then they just start Willow and Chris Statlander. So it's like, oh, Renee didn't know the real lineup, or they changed something. I don't know. Very weird. Which this ain't the first time I've seen this happen on the pre-show, where Renee says something about like, this match is going to be next, and then it's a different match. So anyways, I did like, right as they're cutting, so this was after all the matches. They then bring, I think it was right after all the, no, I can't remember if it was right after all the matches or right before the matches started, but there's a funny spot where they're like cutting away from the, because it was Jeff Jarrett, Renee Paquette, and RJ City. And right as they're cutting away, you just hear Jeff Jarrett go, MJF's losing that title. That popped me. Just the way he said it. Because RJ like looked at him like, what? So, opening match tonight, Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander. They credited Stokely for making this match. They're like, oh, they're partners, which I didn't even realize they were tag team partners. Whatever. Okay, cool. They said they're tag team partners, but they're going to fight to see who the best from New York actually is. And I'm going to say right now, this match wasn't all that good.
No, you're correct. You're right. This match was just, it seemed a little sloppy. Yeah. And there were just moments where they just, their chemistry or whatever you want to call it, it's just, they were like moves were just not connecting properly, or like one moment I think was Will was trying to lift up Chris Statlander and dropped her, and then tried to recover real quick, but it was still kind of like a sloppy sequence. And at one point they just were just laying there and looked like they were just trying to collect themselves and think of a quick rebound. Yeah, and yeah, just the overall this match just was, it's not that good, unfortunately. And I'm a big fan of both of them, and I want to see them do well. But yeah, just this match here, it's just unfortunate. Just a bad day at the office, as they say.
At times, it gave me vibes of Rhea Ripley and Maxine Dupree when Maxine just didn't know what she was doing and wouldn't go up for her and stuff. So
exactly.
As far as the match does go, though, we started off going back and forth. Nightingale hit a body slam and a low running crossbody for a near fall. Statlander responded with a leg sweep and a handspring leg drop until Nightingale leapt off the second rope with a crossbody for a 2. Statlander was sent to the floor as Nightingale followed with a somersault senton off the apron. Back inside the ring, Nightingale tried to go for the Dr. Bomb, but Statlander fought it off with the forearm and a somersault senton of her own. Statlander then kept Nightingale grounded with the body scissors and a Cobra clutch at one point until Nightingale fought free with a cartwheel into an enziguri. Nightingale at one point struck as they were throwing haymakers again. Both ladies tried to go for their own versions of like the Three Amigos kind of stuff. And then My notes froze. Give me 1 second. Statlander was first to her feet, the front face suplex, lifting Nightingale into an electric drop position and dropped Nightingale face first. Statlander was slow to follow, which allowed Nightingale to connect with a pounce, corner cannonball, and a Death Valley driver for a near fall. Then this is when things got a little weird. There was Statlander ducked the lariat and really had to fight to get the Blue Thunder Bomb. There was a scissor kick as well. Statlander signaled for a 450, but Nightingale cut her off with the powerbomb on the apron. Back inside, Nightingale hit a shotgun drop kick off the second rope, but Statlander again kicked out. At one point, she went for the Saturday Night Fever, but Nightingale rolled out of the way, hitting a glancing Enziguri, but Statlander answered with a discus clothesline, only to miss a 450 splash. Nightingale then turned Statlander inside out with a lariat and tried to go for the Doctor Bomb, but couldn't hit it after 2 attempts. Camera then cut to Stokely on commentary as the women are trying to, as you talked about, regain their composure. Nightingale tried to, and finally successfully hit the Doctor Bomb on the 3rd attempt to pick up the victory. Now, here's what I didn't like about this match, because I guess Stokely Hathaway, I don't know the story of all the Stokely stuff, but apparently Stokely was rooting for Statlander. And then I think it was Excalibur on commentary goes, "Oh, you must be upset, Stokely, that he's literally said that Statlander lost to somebody like Willow," which A means, oh, Chris Statlander lost to somebody not on her level, and B is also a knock and put down on Willow.
Yeah, that was an interesting comment there. I will admit, the one thing I did laugh at was Stokely said, "Man, I haven't been this disappointed since they canceled Martin." I laughed because I was a fan of Martin too in the 90s. So I agree with Stokely. Like, I was disappointed too when that got canceled. But no, just overall, this match was kind of thrown together. I know Stokely was on was a Dynamite trying to like pin the two of them, two friends against each other, and led to this match. But this match just, like I mentioned earlier, just was not really well executed. And I mean, at least it was on the pre-show. So as far as, it's not being seen as many people, but I feel bad for both of them. It's because, they're both great wrestlers, great people. So it's unfortunate that a match like this can come together for them on a pay-per-view.
Okay, I might have some more context on this safety thing with AEW.
Okay.
So this is when Julia's still out there. This is from Wrestle Purist tweeted this. It says, Tony Khan is asked about safety and harassment involving women's wrestlers and how, hold on, let me pull the whole thing up, and how there has been concern from fans recently and what has been done to combat incidents in the locker room in the past and going forward. Tony says that it's something they're very serious about, and they have a policy in place. Anytime there is anything like that, they will do everything they can to prevent it. He then says that AEW has the best safety record he believes of any wrestling promotion in the world, the most safe environment, and he would hold AEW on safety against any wrestling company in the world, and he thinks AEW is the safest place for pro wrestling. He says if any wrestler ever has a concern, they always have an open line to talk to him, and if anything came to light to him, he would take it to the disciplinary committee, who he thinks has been doing a great job. So interesting that was asked during the Julia Hart portion, but yeah.
Okay, so it was in regards to locker room behind the scenes behavior, and not in-ring injuries. Okay, gotcha.
Someone comments, this is from Wrestling Features, and goes, worth pointing out that he said he feared for his life backstage just 4 months ago. So I don't know. If any more stuff comes from the scrum, I'll periodically be refreshing to see if we get anything else. So, but we didn't get a video of Serena Deeb in a straitjacket, and then she's out of the straitjacket, and then she's back in the straitjacket, and she's just talking about a bunch of different things, but really it's her saying, I'm coming back. So we are getting Serena Deeb back sometime soon. We then get this battle royal, 20-man battle royal for a shot at the TNT Championship. And I'm just going to say right now, this match started off as a cluster. In the match was Danhausen, Lance Archer, Rocky Romero, The Butcher, The Blade, Action Andretti, Darius Martin, Christopher Daniels, Matt Menard, Brian Keith, Kip Sabian, John Silver, Alex Reynolds, Angelo Parker, Lee Johnson, Johnny TV, Dalton Castle, and Serpentico. Now, Action Andretti and Darius Martin, no Dante.
Mm-hmm.
That's the weird one. Is he hurt again? That's what I don't know.
Well, we did see him later on
True.
in the show.
Yeah.
Get announced for a match.
That's true.
Wednesday against Orange Cassidy. So, but yeah, you're right. I thought, shouldn't he at least be wrestling here as well with the rest of his trios team here? But I guess they figure, okay, well, you have the night off tonight because you're going to be busy Wednesday against Orange Cassidy.
Well, yeah, so in that regard, now thinking about it, he's already getting a title shot for another belt, so why put him in this one for a title shot? But it's like all the names in here, none of them really felt like big-time challengers for the TNT Championship.
You're right. No, it was all mid-carders at best.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there was no star power there. And normally in these battle royals at pay-per-view, usually they have some sort of joker who comes in and it's like revealed of a big signing, free agent signing. So before the pay-per-view tonight, I thought this was going to be on the main show, and I thought, oh, maybe this is a great spot for someone like Dolph Ziggler to debut the AEW if he was the sign there. But no sign of him tonight, so maybe he's not going to be AEW bound. Who knows? But the fact that this battle royal was moved to was on the pre-show, it makes sense now with the wrestlers that were on in this match
and the storyline that it worked into.
Exactly. So it was just this match was. I mean, like I said, there was no like major star power to be like, ooh, who could like be a big enough name to take on the winner of Edge and Adam Copeland and Christian Cage.
So here's my thing. Pro wrestling needs to enact a rule. If you don't get in the ring for a battle royal 60 seconds or less before or after the bell rings, you need to be immediately eliminated. Because they buried Lance Archer and Kill Switch, and then freaking the Butcher, the Blade, and Kip Sabian were just circling the ring for a little bit before they even jumped. Like, what?
Yeah, I mean that was ridiculous too. Everyone started brawling on the outside. As you said, they stacked a bunch of tables and chairs on Lance Archer and Kill Switch, and it's like it was complete out of control anarchy. It's like, no, like you got to win this match in the ring and eliminate people over the rope. So it was just a weird, odd way to start this battle royal. And I'm just like, why? What's the point of this? Get in the ring, or if you can do entrances, have everyone start in the ring. But it was just kind of badly organized.
It felt like the TNA reverse battle royal.
Exactly. So it just what were the refs even doing? The refs were just standing around. It's like, come on, man, get him in the ring. Like, there's no point. It's like, and if you bury people outside before the match even starts, they still got to go over the top rope at some point. So if anything, if you leave those guys out there laying there, you're not going to win until they get in the ring. So you might as well get them in the ring first, beat them up, and then throw them over. Just the logic there just does not make sense.
Not at all. And it's just like they're out there brawling. And then this was another one of many moments on this show where it seems like whoever's directing the show is not in the loop of how these matches are going to go, because like they're all fighting on the side of the ring on the outside, and the camera's like trying to look in the ring like, hey, it's a battle royal. The camera's supposed to, oh, wait, no. And then like it just quickly shifts over, and it's like commentary was kind of thrown off it too, it felt like, but everybody kind of worked together early on. They pulled tables and chairs out, and they buried Lance Archer and Kill Switch, the two biggest guys in the ring. And then Danhausen cursed Serpentico, who was quickly dumped by Trent Beretta. Dalton Castle tried to get his hands on Johnny TV, but was eliminated by Kip Sabian rather quickly. Crowd was never really into this, I will say that for sure. Rocky Romero launched Rocky Romero launched Danhausen into Johnny TV on the apron to eliminate him. Lee Johnson was eliminated next by Parker, who was then sent packing by the Dark Order with a wombo combo. Sabian, Butcher, and the Blade then triple teamed and eliminated Reynolds and Silver. Well, they eliminated Reynolds. Silver then fought them off, got the big hometown pop, and then dumped the Butcher. Brian Keith then hit an enziguri on the apron to eliminate Sabian. I'm really liking seeing Brian Keith on AEW television. I've always been a fan of Brian Keith.
Yeah, I've been really fortunate to see Brian Keith wrestle a few times up here for West Coast Pro Wrestling. And I know a lot of people in the Bay Area are big fans of him when he does show up. Great competitor. So I'm really happy he gets an opportunity like this to shine on AEW television and also on the pay-per-view. So good to him.
He was also in the Ring of Honor TV title match at the Final Battle show.
Exactly. So I'm I know a lot of people want to see him get signed somewhere. He's been putting in the work on the independent scene for a while now. So hopefully this is just the start of something really big for him.
Yeah, it's always fun when there's those people that you've been following that you finally get to see on a bigger stage. You go, oh, now a lot of people get to see what we like.
Exactly.
So Keith hit an enziguri on the apron to eliminate Sabian as Danhausen was about to curse him, until Butcher and the Blade put a stop to it, eliminating Keith in the process. Lance Archer then rose up out of the tables and the rubble, got in the ring, cleaned house, dumped Menard and Daniels. Beretta, Romero, and Danhausen tried to triple team the big man, but Archer was fresh, so he hit the blackout over the top rope to Rocky. Andrade slammed a bottle of water. So this is his new thing. He can just drink the bottle of water real fast. Like, I've seen this on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and stuff. But when he did it last week on Dynamite and it popped Taz, that was so funny.
I'm all for this. If this is something that gets him over with the audience, the live audience and people watching at home, is maybe he's down in a match, he's getting beat up, and someone throws him a water bottle and uses it to power up, like Popeye getting his spinach, power up and go on a tear and pull off a victory. It could be a fun thing for him just to get over with the audience and fans to be like, oh my God, he's getting beat up. Someone quick, throw a water bottle. Like maybe, well, no, I don't like encourage people to throw water bottles in the ring, but fans can be like, hold up water bottle.
Right.
Or this could be an opportunity. Maybe they can put his face on a water bottle down the road. It could be a great ad campaign, promotion campaign.
There you go.
Get your action water bottles or something from the merch stand.
So he downs the bottle of water, hit a double team pop-up Hurricane Rana with Martin on Archer. Killswitch then finally rose and collided with Archer before dumping out both Martin and Andretti. Butcher and the Blade were tossed next, and we get to the final four: Archer, Killswitch, Danhausen, Beretta, as it was Danhausen who was served up for a blackout by Beretta. After a groin punch, both Beretta and Danhausen eliminated Archer before doing a best friend's hug. Beretta then turned on Danhausen and dumped him out of the match. It's then Beretta and Killswitch. Beretta low-bridged Killswitch to the apron, but ran into his clutches, pulled over the top, clobbered, and eliminated by Killswitch. Killswitch then wins the contract and has a shot at the TNT Championship anytime he wants. And this led me thinking, I didn't fully think it, but I'm like, could this mean he's going to get involved later? I had a feeling, but I didn't fully I think. I just it was in the back of my head the whole time, something's going to happen with this later.
Yeah, unfortunately, I guess without flat out copying, it was like their version of Money in the Bank. And we'll get into that later as far as how this plays into the pay-per-view. I have my thoughts on it, and I didn't kind of like it at first, but I saw some people on Twitter trying to explain Christian's strategy here. So, but we can save that for a little bit later.
So Christian's just Ted DiBiase?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and I was gonna say Luchasaurus, but Kill Shot is his Andre the Giant here in this situation.
A final match of the pre-show. It was the FTW rules match for the FTW Championship. It was Hook and Wheeler Yuta. The match itself was fun, but what the hell was this thing at the beginning with Wheeler Yuta trying to cut a promo and he was trying too hard. This is the thing for me here. He was trying too hard to be the quote-unquote heel that talks down to the live crowd about their city. And then eventually the horn or the trains, I'm, again, not an Islanders fan. I guess this is an Islanders hockey thing.
Oh, okay.
The train horn signals And yeah, it was weird because like Wheeler Yuta was talking, then he felt like he lost himself for a second, then he started talking again, and then all of a sudden the train horn thing starts playing, and then he gets lost again, like confused, like, oh, this is my cue to stop, or am I supposed to keep talking, what's going on? And then finally Hook comes out. And I'm like, okay. And then Taz talks about how when Hook was a kid, he used to take him to Islander games in this building all the time. So that was kind of cool, a little cool mention there.
Okay. Yeah, no, remind me, an FTR rules match, is that pretty much no DQ?
Yeah, FTW rules means there are no rules other than I think it's you have to pin in the ring.
So it's interesting they're doing this type of match when they already have a no DQ match lined up between Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. So it just, I think it undervalues their match later on the night, because it's like, okay, you have multiple no DQs on this card, which I think AEW needs to learn. Have one stipulation per pay-per-view. Don't repeat yourself. Have multiple versions or multiple matches of the same stipulation, even though it's worded differently. It's more or less the same match. So I just didn't like how they had this match on the pre-show. I mean, this could easily been a Dynamite match or something like that. I don't like how undervalued Christian and Adam Copeland's match.
So as far as the match itself does go, Hook lit up Wheeler Yuta with some corner strikes early on. And so, correct me here if I'm wrong. Wheeler Yuta went to chop him in the chest. Hook ducked and got smacked in the face. Like, that's what it looked like. And then Hook walked to the other corner holding his face. So, like, Wheeler Yuta was, like, throwing in these chops. Hook was like this, and he gets hit right in the bridge of the nose, it looks like.
That was a little accident. I'm sure he'll get a receipt for it in the near future.
Well, no, because I'm pretty sure it was Hook's fault for ducking down.
Well,
so
I'm talking about in the back.
Right. Hook gets chopped in the face. Yuta then brought out some weapons, but Hook took the fight to the stage with a Northern Lights suplex. Yuta scrambled to the ringside area and decked Hook with a trash can lid, but opted to start trash talking Taz instead, which then led to Hook coming back with a clothesline. Yuta kept Hook grounded at one point, though, until Hook fought back with a suplex and a series of clotheslines. Yuta rolled through a red rum attempt as both men traded German suplexes until a slugfest ensued with a double down spot. Yuta bit at Hook and hit a fisherman suplex with the bridge for a 2. There was a trash can shot that led to Hook blocking a knee into an overhead suplex into the corner where there was a trash can set up. Kind of threw him into the trash can, but barely hit the trash can. Hook then sank in the red rum, but Yuta piggybacked and drove Hook into the trash can. Yuta's bleeding at this point from the head, and he plants Hook with a DDT on the stop sign for a 2. Hook then rolled to the floor, allowing Yuta to grab a 2x4 as Hook emerged with the hockey stick and swept the leg of Yuta before busting the stick over Yuta's back. With a piece of the stick, Yuta applied the red rum and got the submission victory. So Hook retains the title.
Which, what's the point of having this title anymore?
I have no clue.
It's really just Hook's title now.
Yeah.
I think he needs to get rid of it, or the AEW needs to get rid of it, and Hook needs to move on to something else. He's forever going to be at the bottom of the mid card roster, or for this AEW roster. They just pigeon him in that division, or that's the only thing they're going to use him for. It's like, okay, you're just going to defend his FTR title. Like, he needs to grow. His character needs to grow. He's been there long enough now. He needs to expand who he is, his character, give him some more layers. But that title is doing nothing for him. If anything, they must think, oh, we're just fulfilling an obligation of having that title being defended on a pay-per-view in some capacity, but it's doing no favors for him. He is not advancing. I get it. AEW is a stacked roster, so you can make the argument, just be thankful you're getting TV time. But in this situation, he's not getting anything else out of this. He's not. I want to see him grow. I want to see these young talent they have on this roster to get some layers, to grow as a character and get me emotionally involved to care about them. Yep. Because right now it's all like former WWE guys and some of the older veterans, holding up the spots up an upper tier of the roster of the show. So I want them to eventually start putting over some of these younger talents, and I want Hook to be someone like that to advance up. So it just seems kind of pointless for me now at this point.
So Taz did, after the match, make some sort of a reference of, hey, Hook's really advancing and other champions may need to be on the lookout because Taz could be coming for them, or Hook could be coming for them in 2024. So maybe what you're saying is going to happen, and they're finally going to push him past this FTW title. Because right now, the FTW title is nothing more than a prop.
They need to do something, man, because it's not doing anything for him. He, in the time that he's had it, he's had what 2 reigns, I want to say.
I think so. Yeah.
What has he done that's been memorable, and what has he done as a character that's been memorable as a wrestler? He's been doing the same thing for a long time now. You need to finally, for example, like Sky Blue, they're finally doing something different with her. It needs something like him. They need to give him something different to do. So
here's the thing. My kids don't normally watch much AEW, but they kind of know who different people are. They're WWE kids, whatever. But when they did the video a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week and a half ago, of Hook, he's like sitting on the steps or whatever, and he's talking about Wheeler Yuta and setting up this match. My son literally goes, "That Hook?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "He can speak?"
Exactly. Like, being mute on television is not doing anything for him.
Right.
It's like, it was cool when he first started. Oh, he's this tough guy that doesn't say anything. He just lets his actions speak for himself.
Yeah.
But that only runs for so long. I mean, hell, look at Orange Cassidy. His character evolved to a certain extent in the last couple years. You got to do the same thing for Hook. Like, that's another example of someone that they're bringing up in their system that they need to keep pushing along and do something with them. That's the big criticism with AEW, is like, you sign all these free agents, but the people that you have on that roster already, you're not doing enough with them and making them rewarding them from being there from the start of their careers or getting a major push. So it's just frustrating. I like I said, this FTR title doesn't mean nothing. And tonight we got the Continental title now. It's like another title on top of all the ROH titles that they have. It's a lot of belts, a lot of titles on this company has. You need to start condensing some. So sorry, not to go on a tangent here, but it's just pointless at this point. Get rid of the FTR title.
Yeah. But it's like, and I guess you can even use this criticism with that first women's match with Willow and Statlander. It's like, when you have these many people on your roster, you're only running 2-3 shows a week. Guys aren't working. Guys and girls aren't working every week. So it's like, you go in there and, for instance, like Willow and Statlander, what if they worked 2-3 matches total all month? You're not going to get better. And I'm saying this as someone that's never wrestled before, but I can just see it. You're never going to get better if you're not getting the time in the ring or the time on the mic, practicing promo. Like, do they do promo class like WWE does at NXT? Are they teaching these people what's the right thing and the wrong thing to do in a promo, how to do this, like, that's the whole thing. That's a big criticism with AEW. You sign all these younger guys, but then you sign them and don't let them, or don't, maybe let them is the wrong term, but you don't have them go work other places to get the experience. And so when you see, like, I'm going to look up Willow Nightingale. How many matches she had in the last month? I feel like it's not many.
Well, I feel like there's a much bigger story here, or just conversation to have, as far as you have all this young talent. I really wish ROH was treated like their NXT, and have a dedicated roster there. Let it just be mostly a younger age range of the wrestlers that they have, either as far as their age or as far as just how inexperienced they are. Let that show be a place for them to work on their characters, work on the in-ring stuff, build it up as like a really strong third brand, and maybe have a couple of veterans on there who kind of can lead the charge or be good dance partners for them in the ring. And because I feel like it's just, 1 week, someone on ROH can be on AEW television. It's just so over the place. Like, have a dedicated roster for ROH, and it's the only spot you can see these younger wrestlers. That's the only place you can see them, and then let the more veterans have Dynamite, Collision, Rampage. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I know it's just frustrating how unorganized sometimes this is. Where it can be a lot simpler.
So it's like with Willow Nightingale, she worked 2-3. Let's see, in the last month, counting tonight, she worked 3 matches. And then the month before that, she worked another 3 matches. Like, if you're working 3 matches a month, you're not going to advance and get better. Now, I don't know if they're also between shows going to school, like different schools or gyms and training and stuff, but it's just like you're not working much in the ring. And then you're working with people. This is what the thing that they say about with NXT, why they send main roster talent to NXT. So you're not working the same people, and you're not working people of your level. You can learn to work people better than you and then learn from that.
Oh yeah. I remember when I was playing basketball, when I was on, the freshman team, but I would play with the varsity players. I felt like it elevated my game, my performance. When you're around people who are better than you or more experienced, it elevates your performance as well. So I'm all for that. It's just, with that also being said, you said those 3 matches for Willow, for example. Does that include her indie dates at all?
So she hasn't worked an indie show since October.
Okay.
Between October 25th and now, she's only done ROH and AEW stuff. So in the last 3 months, she's had 8 matches total.
Didn't Cody Rhodes say in an interview at some point within the last year that you need more reps in the ring between house shows and...
I mean, look what it's done for Dom. Dom's working all the time and getting better every week.
Exactly. So, yeah, when you have 9 matches in front of an audience in the last few months, you're not going to get enough reps to improve. So,
I will say, the one person they're doing great with that's young, Billy Starks.
Yeah. And
she's learning from Athena.
Yeah, she's with Athena, dedicated to ROH. I don't get to watch ROH that much, and just unfortunately, just not enough hours in the week for me to watch it. But if I felt ROH was turning to more of like an NXT style show where dedicated rosters there, full of young talent, developing interesting characters, great matches, storylines, I'll find a way to tune in. But if it's just more or less Dark and Elevation 2.0,
for the most part,
there's no point for me to tune in. I'm not going to waste my time.
It's just another Rampage at this point. Other than, I will say, the one thing, the Athena Billy Stark stuff is the only reason I watched that Final Battle pay-per-view. And that match, that main event, was outstanding. So
yeah, I'm with you. Yep.
Also, the pre-show matches, the Willow Statlander match went 13 and a half minutes. The Battle Royal went 13 minutes and 50 seconds. And the Hook Wheeler Yuta match went 10 minutes and 20 seconds. These are all times from the Wikipedia.
Gotcha. Okay.
So then we go on to our main card. And Excalibur welcomes us. It's Saturday night. You know what that means. And they started off with the, quote, all-star 8-man tag team match. It's Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, Daniel Garcia, and Mark Briscoe against Switchblade Jay White, Brody King, Roosh, and Jay Lethal. I thought this was a fun way to open the show. But again, and I saw this criticism throughout the night on Twitter. So many matches that felt like they meant nothing. And this was another one. It's like, what are they fighting for? It's a New Japan show where it's just like a bunch of tag matches and 6-mans and 8-mans to get everybody on the show. But for what?
While the Continental Classic, I think overall was a success as far as it was a great tournament that was on TV that filled up their television programming for the last, month or so?
Month and a half-ish.
Month and a half, and there were a whole lot of great little different smaller sub stories there between the wrestlers and their standings and their points and rivalries from this. Unfortunately, that took up so much of the TV programming. They didn't develop enough other storylines with the wrestlers not involved in that tournament to help build up matches worthy of being on a pay-per-view. As you said, a lot of the stuff was just thrown together. Like this opener, great concept as far as it featured the other guys from the tournament that were not in the finals between like Mox and Eddie Kingston. So it just, but it's such an exhibition. It was just felt like a Survivor Series match.
Yes.
My division versus your division, 4-on-4 here.
Well, it wasn't even just, division versus it wasn't even like gold versus blue league. It was just, they were all, hey, here's 8 guys that were in this tournament. We're going to just jumble them up and make some teams.
Yeah, exactly. So while on paper, it's great star power. It's like the all-stars of AEW. But yeah, just kind of thrown together, and it was a good quality match. It went a little too long, and they kept most of the action in the ring, but it was a fine just opener to kick off the show.
It went it went 17 minutes and 50 seconds.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Also, Tony Khan did confirm that Andrade's contract is up at the end of 2023 and expects that they will be parting ways. So,
wow. So will we see him
Monday night? Maybe. We'll see. As far as this match does go, also, I never get tired of Nigel McGuinness just talking crap on Danielson. That never gets old.
Oh, yeah, it's great. Oh, when AEW was in the Bay Area back in early November, Nigel McGuinness did a magic show because he's a magician and people don't know that. He did a magic show at Alameda Comedy Club, which is the comedy club in my hometown. And he was really good. It was a lot of fun, but the ongoing thing throughout the show, he was taking shots at Bryan Danielson. So I love this 20-year rivalry is still going on the air, off the air of it, like his separate projects, like being a magician. He takes jabs at Bryan Danielson whenever he can. So I love it.
Now I don't think it ever will, because this eventually lead to some sort of we know Danielson's in his last year. Could he get that one last Danielson McGuinness match?
I mean, All In London, England needs, I know that's still months away, but what better way to
retirement match
for
both of them, or they're both final matches ever. That'd be cool.
One final one off between the two of them. Yeah, no, it's that's a great setting to have this, and this is maybe just the Easter eggs that they're planting.
So Rush and Castagnoli started off the match with fast offense. Rush nearly hit a dive, but Castagnoli sprinted back into the ring for a face-off. Briscoe and Lethal tagged in and picked up where they left off a couple of weeks ago. Remember, Lethal was the one that didn't get no points. Briscoe beat him at the end just to say, hey, I won a match in the tournament. Then these two started throwing chops that hurt me because they were so loud. White and Danielson came in for the first time. I think this is the first time they've ever had any sort of interaction in AEW that I can think of. And the crowd was all for it. Bryan Danielson and Jay White, oh yeah. So White immediately was trapped in a label lock. He got to the ropes, and Danielson, so this is funny. So he's like, Danielson's got the hold on there, and the ref's like, 1, 2, 3, 4. He lets go and looks at the ref and goes, 5. Telling him, hey, I know my rules. As long as you don't say 5. There's chops by White. Danielson answered with some kicks. Danielson then went for the home run kick, but then he was tagged in by Daniel Garcia. Also, randomly, Matt Menard was on commentary for this match. Whatever. Okay, cool. So Danielson can't do the last kick. He's looking like, what the heck was that for? Garcia then was going to do his dance. It was cut off. Garcia and Brody King were tagged in, and King immediately planted Garcia with a black hole slam for a 2. King got in Menard's face at ringside, which White egged. So with White egging the big man on, as the crowd was loudly chanting for Daddy Magic. Back inside the ring, Rush mocked Garcia's dance, and then Garcia kicked him in the shoulder or whatever, and he fell over. That was kind of a weird sequence, but Briscoe then made the hot tag and cleaned house. Danielson flew to the floor to take out Rush, as Castagnoli lit up King with some uppercuts, and then just everyone's fighting everybody everywhere, and it's like, oh, another one of these. The ref can't control the match. We see this way too often in AEW, where the ref just lets anything and everything happen. So, back inside the ring, Briscoe hit a massive fisherman's bomb on White and got a 2 off of it. White spun out of a J-Driller attempt, but then White hit an exploder over the top to the floor where Lethal and King got in their shots. Lethal connected with a superplex, but White rolled out of a Gonzo bomb attempt by King to tag in Claudio as the two big men struck away. Claudio was giving King a giant swing at one time. Then they did the Tyson Kidd Cesaro spot where he's giving him the swing, giving him the swing, giving him the swing. And then Danielson comes in with a little front drop kick. Always love to see that. Call back. The match broke down and picked up with a little bit where Lethal tried to hit a lethal combination on Garcia. He followed this up with the figure 4. They're more brawling at ringside. Can't really keep up with what's going on. Briscoe then all of a sudden comes in flying with a froggy bow to save his partner as everyone turns to hitting their big moves. Eventually, Lethal tried to cut off Garcia, who pulled out his legs and then rolled him up to pick up the victory. Garcia then finally did his dance, and Menard joined in from commentary. So, yeah, Daniel Garcia picks up the win. And with that got Daniel Garcia. He's on the scrum right now. So he wins the match and gets to be at the scrum.
What'd you think of Brody King going outside and talking to, oh my God.
Daddy Magic on commentary?
Daddy Magic. I'm trying to think of what's his goofy name right now. But got in his face, called him, yelled at him and called him a little bitch,
right?
And all that stuff. So that was pretty funny. So I wonder if that could be maybe lead to, unfortunately, maybe a squash match for Brody King to win. But it could be a fun match. Yeah, for a future episode of Collision.
All right, so scrum update. Daniel Garcia was on the scrum. He's now no longer on the scrum, and for the last 10 minutes, Tony's been talking by himself.
Okay.
So I don't know if they're wrapping it up with just ending with Tony. So far, they've had Joe, Tony Storm, Swerve, Julia Hart, and Daniel Garcia. But Tony's been talking for the last 10 to 12 minutes by himself.
Gotcha.
No context on what he's saying, but just update on who's there and who's not there. Because, I mean, as we'll talk about here in a moment with not the next match, but in a couple matches, Sammy Guevara got a big win, pinning one half of the tag champs. Sammy not at the press conference, not at the scrum. You would think to set up whatever they're going to do with the tag titles, but so then you get Miro and Andrade El Idolo, and I was a little surprised that CJ was actually there after spending almost a week in the hospital.
Yeah, so very scary for her. Yeah, that infection.
So she was there. She had her finger all taped up, of course, but it was good to see her. And yeah, it was weird, the premise of this match, because when they first started teasing it, CJ's like, oh, I know you're mad that Andrade's my client and this and that, but you can't touch him during the tournament. He goes, that's fine, whatever. But then after the tournament, when they announced this match, Miro cuts a promo saying, oh, I'm not going after Andrade just because of CJ. I just don't like him or something like that. So they kind of like changed that narrative a little bit, which was weird. As far as the matches go, I think the two worked pretty well together. I think this was a really good match.
Yeah, no, overall, it was a really solid match for the two of them. It just, I think for some fans, like who knew Andrade's on his way out, I think the finish was predictable with Miro winning here. And ultimately what we saw, CJ Perry turning on Andrade. And I don't know, is she aligned with her husband? Like she was pointing at him.
It seems like it.
But Miro wasn't like, didn't fully embrace her, like come in the ring, give me a big hug or something.
Well, because
I love you, I miss you.
My whole takeaway on this, and you can perceive it however you want, is maybe she wants to be with her husband, but didn't tell him, I'm going to help you. And so he's kind of thrown off, just like when she showed up at the Hobbs match, and he's like, what are you doing here? Now it's more like, whoa, okay, you're not against me? What, huh? But as far as Andrade does go, if WWE, and if Andrade is the one that they're teasing, if WWE didn't think they were going to have a big name showing up Monday, Triple H would have never teased it last night. Now, I get it. Triple H couldn't say it because his contract's not technically up till Monday. But I think that was a good sign of, hey, because Fightful reported a former champion could be returning as early as Monday. Triple H then said, yeah, the rumors are true, maybe. So I think it's going to happen. I think as early as Monday, we could see Andrade back in WWE. And then we get, honestly, I've missed this theme song. I love this theme song.
Yeah. Well, it just for me though, this match didn't have a lot. They didn't have a lot of heat between the two of them. They just didn't. It just lacked a lot of intensity. Why? Like I want to see the two of them go at it. It's more just it's a beef between Miro and CJ at this point. Andrade's just stuck in the middle. I'm like, oh, I guess I got to fight him because my current manager, that's her husband, and they're having this weird feud or weird. Like it's like they're married, but she's trying to do her own thing. It just didn't make really sense. Like what the story directions here. Even her turning. I mean, hopefully she explains herself on television. Like let them give her a mic and explain herself. But if anything, I think this is a little bit of a reset of them going back together. Like it makes more sense for Miro and CJ to be together. It just from I think from the fans, they want to see the two of them together, and hopefully this kind of resets Miro's character. And now having his wife in his corner, being a manager, he can go on this tear again. I think it's long overdue. I think a lot of people want to see Miro just destroy this AEW roster and go through a tear through everyone, and hopefully CJ can be this new motivation for him.
Exactly. So as far as the match itself does go, the two started going at it, and Miro attacks Andrade at the bell as he's trying to take his jacket off. Andrade did fight back and wanted to go for a dive, but Miro put a stop to it. Back inside the ring, Miro escaped a figure four and pulled Andrade into an overhead throw. Miro yelled at Perry in saying that if this is what you want, this is what I'm going to do, basically. Miro then connected on a spinning side slam before taking the fight to Andrade at ringside, and he threw him into the barricade. Also, speaking of ringside, was this the first time we've seen the video board barricade in AEW?
I think so. That looks, it's something new that they've been doing.
You're looking more and more like WWE every week. Because they had the video board on the side of the ring, too.
Yeah, exactly.
So Perry at one point yelled to Andrade. So this is weird. So she yells to Andrade to fight back. He dumps Miro over the announce table. They get back into the ring. They start fighting. There's a double down spot. And then CJ just yells, "Both of you get up." I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like, Andrade's her guy, but she still wants to pull for Miro in a way. So they're going at it in the ring. Perry's yelling for both of them to get up. They start slugging it out. And Andrade's chops are just hard chops. Like, you could tell they're hard when Miro is kind of wincing. And he usually doesn't. But Miro's kind of like, ooh. Like, you could see they're getting Miro. Andrade catches Miro's leg in the ropes and hit a dragon screw. There's then a crossbody off the top that led to a flying forearm. Miro bailed from a corner charge, but rolled right into the position for Andrade to hit the moonsault. Basically the one where he hits the moonsault, lands on his feet, and then does another standing moonsault. Andrade then went and hugged CJ at ringside as Miro avoided the first moonsault back inside the ring. Andrade then got a 2 off of another moonsault. Miro then battled back and flattened Andrade before sinking in a game over. Andrade did make it to the ropes to break the hold. Miro turned his attention a little too long to his wife as Andrade went back after the leg and hit a spinning back elbow that connected. Oh my God, that elbow right on the jaw connected greatly. Got a 2 off of it. Andrade then locked in a figure 4, but couldn't quite get the bridge for the figure 8. Miro then briefly reversed the figure 4. He then grabbed the referee. This allowed Perry to. So this is kind of all kinds of weird. So they got the figure 4 and he's trying to go for the figure 8, can't get it. Miro flips him over. So now Miro's yelling at him, "Hey, let go. You're gonna get hurt. Whatever, this and that." And then Andrade flips him back over. So now Andrade's got the advantage of the figure 4. He then gets the figure 8 in finally. Miro grabs the referee, pulls him down or whatever. CJ then grabs the arms of Andrade, yanks him. Andrade falls down. He lets go of the figure 4, gets up and starts yelling at CJ about, "What was that? What are you doing? What are you doing?" Miro then gathers himself up, super kicks Andrade in the face, puts him in the game over, and Andrade taps almost immediately. Perry then smiles, acknowledges her husband, and like we talked about, Andrade or Miro's kind of just like, "I won. Okay, that was a little strange." What did you think of the match itself?
Yeah, like I said, the match was good between the two of them. I mean, they're obviously great wrestlers, former WWE guys. Like I said, it kind of lacked that intensity, like a heat between the two of them, specifically between the two of them, like why I want to see them go at it between each other. But you know, like I said, with the turn of CJ, I guess that's fine. Like I said, I'll go with it. Like I said, I just want Miro to reset, and it just like when she debuted in AEW at was All Out.
Yeah.
With the match with Will Hobbs, Miro had. I think a lot of people want to see them hug it out and like they're reunited, but instead he went with the angle of him, you know, shocked and walked away. And it's just been kind of like, I don't know, they've been, it hasn't gone anywhere for like 2 months. I mean, Andrade's been, you know, wrestling on her behalf as a manager. I want to see CJ do more as a manager.
Yeah.
I know that's what she's passionate about. She wants to be a really good manager. I interviewed her a couple months ago, and that's she really wants to do a good job at it. So I hope, you know, maybe with Miro they can kind of refocus even her character as a manager. What are her goals, and establish that. Give her some mic time. She likes being on the microphone. Let her explain her actions and behavior. Why she turned on Andrade. Back with Miro. What's their purpose together now? What's their strategy going forward? You know, this is just an example of AEW. Like I want them to give these wrestlers some more character development. Yes. And so with CJ as a manager, let her develop as a manager.
I mean, we know she's a great actress, so she can go out there and talk and as good as anybody.
Exactly. So just let her run with this. And, you know, if Collision's going to be their main home, give them some mic time and like explaining their actions, you know, CJ explaining herself, and then maybe Miro's like, okay, I'm glad you're back with me. Let them hug it out. And then together they refocus on what their goals are in AEW. And for him, if it's a title opportunity at some point, let him go on a tear to get, and his eyes focus on winning the title, and his focus is to help him get that and achieve that. So,
I mean, I wouldn't hate Miro being the one to take the international title off of Orange Cassidy.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I want AEW. I'm glad they have managers, because I think WWE for the longest time did not embrace the manager role anymore. AEW has people that could be managers. They have CJ Perry, they have Don Callis, they have Stokely. Let these people shine in that role. Give them opportunity to shine. I mean, I think that is a whole separate thing we can get into later, but like the Don Callis family, I think is really falling apart, and it's not as engaging. When Don Callis family started, I thought this was going to be the top faction for this company, and Don Callis and his crew are going to get all the titles. No, they just been hanging around the mid-card scene, not doing anything. So anyway, yeah, sorry for not going on a separate tangent. But with that being said, I want Miro get a refocus and like, let's move on from this. Andrade, obviously, as you just mentioned, is gone from AEW. Miro, let him do some big things on Collision.
Speaking of Don, I was a little disappointed when we didn't get Don on commentary during that 8-man tag.
Exactly. Yeah, you're
right. Like, ooh, we're gonna get a little Don Callis here, and then he just walks the other way. I'm like, oh, never mind. Apparently, in the press conference, so Tony, I guess it's just Tony Khan now, because he's been going for a while by himself. Couple of tweets here. It says Tony Khan calls AEW the best place in the world. He then says Denny's has some decent pancakes. You got to consider that as well. I don't know what that's all about. And then he says 2024 is going to be the best year of the company ever. He has a bunch of things that they are working on that he can't wait to unveil.
Hopefully it's a TV deal. That's one of them. I mean, this is interesting. I'm going to read this. There's a tweets from Trevor Dame. He said, Tony says he considered QT a friend, and any wrestling company will be lucky to have him. And again, he'd always be welcomed back. Tony says, like in so many organizations, a lot of contracts come due at the end of the year. Tony then announces Andrade's contract and also talks about Rafael Morphy, the guy that was in charge of their live events. His deal's running out and he's leaving as well. I think he's going to work for the Barclays Center. Yes. Yep.
So, and then Tony asked about making each show feel must-see, yet coherent week to week. Tony thinks Dynamite and Collision each have a distinct identity, and again, stresses they both ended strong this year, noting there's no hard brand split, but some stars do appear on one show more than the other. He did talk about how technically year over year ratings are up for them, which kind of, yeah, but I don't know. They fluctuate a lot.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the next match here on the pay-per-view, we had the AEW Women's World Title match, Timeless Toni Storm against Riho. And was it just me, or did this crowd just not really care about this match?
Well, you can make that argument for a lot of these matches seem thrown together last minute because the Continental Classic was taking up so much TV time over the last 6 weeks. But yeah, no, this match, it just what Rio just randomly showed up, was it the week before on Dynamite? Yeah.
So the story they tried to tell here was Rio's the first ever women's champion, but Toni Storm considers herself the best AEW women's champion they've ever had. So Tony did the catchphrase in like the promos and stuff a couple of times. What's better, being the first or the best? So, and then I guess she won a number one contenders match against Saraya. So that's how she got the match.
Which is like, okay, I guess that's great motivation.
Yeah.
But it's Rio should say that too. It's like, yeah, I was the first, but I want that title back. I don't know. It just, I wasn't feeling this feud to begin with. Unfortunately, there's just, it was okay. Tony beating her flat in the middle of the ring. But just
like
another match here. Yeah, but this was another match. It just lacked heat between the two of them. So, Tony, she's a heel, but she's more over than Rio, who's supposed to be the baby face here.
Well, I mean, that's what happens when you put somebody in a big title match on a pay-per-view that's barely ever around.
Exactly. So I've never been able to really get into Rio because she's hardly around. I mean, she has the Roman Reigns schedule right now, but it's just like, I know there's a lot of people do like Rio, but I just don't have enough sample size of her on my television to care about her. So I just felt like such a one-sided rivalry here. Like I said, I'm digging Toni Storm more, and I had no, there was no part of me that thought, oh man, Rio has a chance here to win. So it was all Toni Storm all the way.
Yeah, because looking at Rio's cage match, she did 3 matches this month for AEW. She had back in August, she did a indie match, and then she hadn't been on AEW television before this month since June. One match in June that was a dark match, like not even AEW, like not dark or dark elevation, just a dark match. And then before that, she worked April.
So why is she rewarded? I'm just rhetorically asking her. Why is she rewarded with a number one contender?
Because she beat Ruby Soho in an 8-minute match on Dynamite.
But
randomly.
Who cares?
Exactly.
There's so many other women on that roster who deserve a title opportunity or deserve a push to get to that spot.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense. It's just Rio she's back. Hey, remember her? She's her first ever champion. So let's throw the story together of the first ever AEW Women's Champion versus the current champion who claims to be the best. I don't care. Like, sorry. I'm like,
no, you're not wrong.
I'm just really harumphy on a lot of stuff here because I want AEW to succeed. I want them to be on top of their game and creating such compelling television. As a wrestling fan, I want to be tuned in. It's been lacking so much stuff lately that makes me want to care every single week. And it's just another example of a match here that just didn't really need to happen. I feel like there's so many other women on that roster that deserve it, that are there every single week, who are entertaining wrestlers that deserve this. So yeah, anyway, just frustrated.
Here's something. Tony Khan has asked if there has ever been an internal investigation into Chris Jericho for sexual misconduct. Khan says he can't speak to unsourced rumors, then reiterates what he said earlier about having a policy. disciplinary process and believing that AEW is the safest wrestling company with the best track record.
Okay. So,
didn't confirm nor deny, just said, oh, there's no validity to the rumors, or tried to say.
Yeah, didn't really answer anything.
He kind of just shot down the rumors. At least kudos for whoever asked. At least somebody asked.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I had the feeling people would think about it, but then not ask it. So, as far as this match does, go for it.
No, I was gonna say, I'm sure there are people who want to ask it, but maybe are afraid to ask because they're afraid they're not going to be asked back for future media opportunities. That's a concern I think media people have in pro wrestling. Like, there may be some hard questions they want to ask, but they're afraid to because they're afraid to piss someone off and not get asked back for future opportunities. And so, I think that's why sometimes these media scrums are a little surface level or very softball questions, because they're like, okay, I want to be asked back on a regular basis. I'm going to ask questions that are either fun or tongue-in-cheek or just going along with the wrestler's character, because I know it's a safe opportunity to get a question in, be present, involved with the media scrum, but also feel comfortable knowing I'll be asked back for future opportunities. It's different than, like, professional sports media scrums that you see. So
yeah, true.
But I give credit for people who do ask those tough questions.
So apparently one person here says Tony Khan keeps referencing the 2024 free agent market. I don't know exactly what context there is for that, but says Tony Khan says that he feels really strong about the AEW roster and some of the people who could come to AEW, putting over 2024 and the potential 2024 free agent market. So,
yeah, well, the Callis family needs a kick in the butt as far as just storyline wise, because I mean, this show fell off for many reasons. Yeah. Another reason, no members of the Elite were present. I know Kenny is out, recovering, but the Young Bucks, Hangman, no presence of them at all on this show, and Don Callis has been dealing with the Elite for too long. They need to move on, and it's another group that needs to refocus on what their purpose is, what they're trying to accomplish as this faction. I know the Aussie guy is
Kyle Fletcher,
or is he the current ROH
TV champion? Yes,
TV champion. So at least he has one title there. But what is Don Callis' family's purpose? What's their goals?
Yeah, and speaking about the Elite, I know a couple of weeks ago, Meltzer had reported that the plan, at least for the Young Bucks, were to come back as heels and maybe start a small little heel faction with Brandon. Maybe add Colt Cabana into that because him and Brandon are doing some stuff, and maybe a few others. So refresh them as heels and then see where that goes.
Exactly.
At least it's something different. As far as Tony Storm and Riho does go, it just really felt like Tony just kept grabbing her and body slamming her over and over again for most of this match. I'm not going to lie. One point, Storm went to the floor where Riho tried to go for a crossbody onto Luther, but caught and passed her off to Tony, hitting another body slam at ringside. One point, Storm repeatedly stepped on the lower back of Riho, and then she posed for the crowd. She was then sitting on Luther's shoulders. Storm launched Riho to the floor off the apron. Riho broke the count, robbing Storm of her close-up. As Storm sank in a Texas Cloverleaf, Luther then pulled the ropes back so Riho couldn't get to them, and he was thrown out. So kudos on that. There was enough. This was enough for Riho as she mounted a comeback with some forearms, head scissors, and a tiger feint kick. Went to the top, and Riho hit a crossbody and finally got enough of a body slam for a 2. Storm again rolled to the floor, but there was no Luther there this time. Storm then went to the apron, and Riho met her with a diving double stomp before a dragon suplex back inside the ring that got her a 2. Riho missed a corner charge, and Storm sorta got a sweet cheek music. She then was successful at hitting the Storm Zero and got a near fall. Riho then nearly stole a pin with a roll up, but took too long to go for. She was doing something off the second rope, I don't know what, and then Tony Storm pulled her off. Storm then hit an over-the-back DDT and picked up the victory. So there we go. Mariah May then shows up with a bucket of roses, and they celebrate the victory.
Alrighty then.
Yeah.
I guess Toni Storm can move on now to something else, and just another opponent that she can check off that she defeated on this current title reign of hers.
And that's the thing. Just another opponent. Like, I can't even make a prediction on who I think is next for her.
No, I hope they have something lined up. I mean, this is a big episode of Dynamite that they have as far as New Year's Bash. Is it a 2-week thing they still do?
I don't know.
New Year's Bash. Because I know in the past it was like 2 weeks, right? Or was that the holiday? I get confused with all the different labelings they have for their special episodes.
So they did Holiday Bash. Last week was New Year's Smash. This last past week.
Yeah.
And I don't think they have anything labeled on for this coming Wednesdays. Because I know I saw the graphic for they're doing FTR and House of Black on Collision next week. But there was no like special Collision logo for that on the graphic.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, they definitely need to set something up for her as far as Toni Storm. Set up a long-term story with her and a better qualified opponent.
But I mean, even like I felt like they've kind of shied away from not saying this is supposed to be a special Dynamite. Like with Winter is Coming, that did not feel special at all. That was, I don't know if you realized, that was the first ever Dynamite Winter is Coming that didn't have a world title match this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man. Well, I guess they were saving. Because they have a pay-per-view this month, Worlds End, so they were just saving for that.
True. And they just featured the Continental Classic on there.
Exactly.
Then moving forward, we had Swerve Strickland versus Dustin Rhodes. As we talked about earlier, Keith Lee out injured. He said he's been working with an injury for over a year. And I guess he thought he was good this morning. Told the fans, hey, I'm a little banged up, but I might work. And then Tony Khan said, no, you're not. So it must have been way worse than he even expected once the doctors checked him out. So Strickland, go for it.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. I'll go ahead and jump in after. Yeah.
Strickland got the jump immediately when Rhodes tried to climb into the ring and slammed Rhodes into the post in the barricade. The charging dropkick into the steps that led to Nana pulling out a cinder block and placing Rhodes' ankle on it. Strickland debated it, only to smile and hit a swerve stomp, shattering the cinder block. Hey, ref, ain't this a DQ? I get it if you're just using the steps, but he pulled out a foreign object.
It took too long to execute.
Yeah.
Like, Dustin's just laying there, and it's like, real talk, like, shouldn't he be like trying to fight out of it, like kicking Prince Nana to like let go? But no, he laid there way too long before Swerve finally jumped off and crushed it.
Speaking about waiting way too long, we'll talk about that later. Nick Wayne over there hanging off the rope, off the ropes, waiting for Copeland to relight that table.
Yep. But so, in this match, when it finally started, it just took way too long. That was my issue with this match. Dustin,
9.5 minutes.
Yeah, Dustin is the sub here in this match, and he gets his ankle shattered, kayfabe, with the cinder block. This should have been a squash match for Swerve to win. It's like you destroyed Dustin before the bell rings. Because I thought the match was just not going to end in no contest, but the fact they threw Dustin in the ring and it's like, oh, it's going to start. It should have been a squash deal. He should have been like, okay, we'll have this match. I'll destroy you in less than 2 minutes.
So yeah, you are right. So all this happened before the bell rang. So this should have led to not a DQ then, because I was thinking wrong, but it should have led to. Well, no, you're correcting me here, which is good. It shouldn't have led to like a DQ, but it should have led to the ref going, oh, this is what we're going to happen. Nope, Nana, you're gone.
Yeah, exactly. And so Dustin, he got way too much offense in for having a busted ankle.
It's like the doctor had to come in and check on him.
Yeah, and I mean, for Dustin, hell, he looks like an amazing fighter trying to overcome all these odds. But as far as from the story and what Swerve is, I think a lot of people anticipate should be the next world champion or should get a title reign in some point in 2024. We saw the face off with MJF last week on Dynamite. So I think a lot of people excited for him, and he had a strong showing in the Continental Classic. They protected him in that triple threat of the semifinals. So with that being said, I think what better way to kind of continue his dominance with the quick defeat over Dustin Rhodes here. So like I said, Dustin got way too much offense in and went too long. And I mean, for Dustin, he looks like $1 million here. He took a beating and still looked tough. But as far as Swerve's character and what he represents, it didn't really do much for him. So I think it was just a bad decision on way this match is. And maybe because they called an audible and had Dustin come in here and the plan was for Keith Lee, maybe on paper they're like, okay, we already set aside this amount of time for the Keith Lee Swerve match. Just go ahead and fill it up anyway so we can fill up the full 4 hours of this pay-per-view.
Yeah, because if I'm looking here on the Wikipedia, the longest match of the night was the Adam Copeland Christian Cage match that went 25 minutes. Plus the post-match stuff with Kill Switch and the second title match and all that. But the base match did go 25 minutes. So it's like, couldn't have added anything there. I mean, Eddie Kingston and then the Continental Classic and the main event both went over 17 minutes. So it's like, like you're saying, they had the allotted time. So where else could they have added that? Maybe just end the show a little earlier, especially for that New York crowd on there on the East Coast. But they check on Dustin. Dustin says he's okay, and the match eventually officially starts. Rhodes fought off Strickland in the corner and managed a crossbody for a 2. He gets some of the first offense once the bell actually rings. Rhodes continues to mount a comeback and hits a Canadian Destroyer and a power slam for a near fall. Rhodes sets up Strickland for a unnatural kick, and he hit it. Nana then distracts the referee. There's a pile driver by Rhodes that led to a crossroads, spiking Strickland for a 2. Strickland kicked away from a figure 4 and hit a rolling flatliner before sinking in a single crab, transitioning into a stretch muffler. Rhodes then got to the ropes, and Strickland toyed too much, and Rhodes was able to hype himself up, flipping off and spitting at Strickland. There was a multiple house call kicks that connected, as instead of giving the crowd one more as they were asking for, Strickland snapped the arm of Rhodes and hit the swerve stomp to pick up the victory. So yeah, like you said, for someone that just had their ankle smashed, a lot of offense. I mean, fucking power slams and Canadian Destroyers and kicks.
They should have just either not do that cinder block spot at the beginning and just maybe early in the match, Dustin hurts his ankle really bad. Swerve just works on it and picks up the victory, and then maybe does the cinder block spot after the match then. Right. But it just, for everyone other than Dustin Rhodes, no one looked good in this situation. Dustin, like I said, looks like $1 million. He looks like a badass tough guy for taking this beating in the 10-minute window. But for Swerve, it doesn't really do much for his character.
So Tony Khan in the press conference. I got more stuff here. Tony Khan puts over Tony Storm, Julia Hart, Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale, Sky Blue, Soraya, Ruby Soho, and puts them all over. Talks nice about the women's division. Tony is then asked about expanding the pay-per-view schedule, and then also asked about bringing in more women like Mercedes Moné, Deonna Purrazzo, and Camille Brickhouse. Tony then says that he thinks, you just named some of the greatest wrestlers that will be active in free agency soon. Again, dodging questions. He says Tony thinks that they've put more emphasis on the women's division as well, because with Thunder Rosa being back, because Thunder Rosa and Jamie Hayter have been out, they needed to develop new names. Okay, that's a little bit of a cop out there, saying, oh, well, 2 of our bigger women are out, so now we got to make new women. No, you got a lot of women that people know about.
Do you know what Jamie Hayter's injury is by chance?
No, they've been keeping that very secret. But apparently she's supposed to be back in the early part of next year.
Wow. How long has she been gone for? Let's see.
June, July?
Yeah. Wow, it's been a long time now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Tony Khan also says he can't say enough good things about Julia Hart, who was only 22 years old. So he tries to put over the women's division, but then doesn't really on television do that much with them. He focuses on like 4 different people. That's about it. Then We get Chris Jericho, Sting, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara against Ricky Starks, Big Bill, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Konosuke Takeshita in another 8-man tag team match. And so everyone's making their entrances, and the crowd sings Chris Jericho songs, but you can hear the boos as well. And Darby's coming down to the ring, and he does this little thing where he gets down on his knees, and then he looks up and this and that. And then he yells something towards Jericho, his partner. Like calls him a motherfucker or something, or piece of shit or whatever. Very weird. But this is before because you would think, oh, he's directing that towards the heel. The heels weren't even out there yet. So, very weird.
Yeah.
So early on, Sammy Guevara tried to reason with Takeshita, saying you don't need Don Callis, but his advances were ignored. And the two have a great opening sequence where Jericho made the tag to a litany of boos. Crowd starts chanting NDA. Crowd starts chanting for CM Punk. And they also start chanting Kylie Ray. The Sex Gods, who you showed me on Wikipedia, someone changed to the Sex Pests. It's been fixed, by the way.
Yeah, I saw they updated it.
Yeah. They do their pose, and again, more boos. Ricky Starks then tags in only to flip off Jericho before Hobbs made the tag and mowed down Jericho. Bill makes the tag and flattens Jericho, who answered with an eye poke and a chop. Allin then made the tag to a nice ovation as the pace quickened, and there was a nice back and forth between him and Takeshita. A couple of near falls there. Takeshita tried for the Chaos Theory, but Allin flipped out of it with a shotgun dropkick and a code red for a 2. Callis, who again wasn't on commentary, which I was disappointed about, distracted Darby long enough for a coffin drop attempt as Takeshita hit a wild avalanche helicopter blue thunder bomb. Allin remained isolated on the other side of the ring as Hobbs and Big Bill they did the whole ring around the rosy. We're going to wing, and then throw him. So he goes flipping and flopping. Allin finally was able to escape the clutches of Takeshita, dove for a tag to Sting, and the crowd goes wild. So this is Sting's last match in the state of New York.
So I could see the significance there while, fans were clapping and cheering for him afterwards. And what a great way to send him off, being in this match and fans in New York to see it.
So yesterday, Dave Meltzer did his normal Friday podcast with Garrett Gonzalez, and he talked about this being Sting's final match in New York. He's like, I understand this match was put together last minute, but does that mean they never actually had a plan for Sting to be on this show? Because using this, Sting's final match in New York, would have been a great way to sell tickets. Granted, the show ended up being a sellout anyways. But he said November, he went to the Bay Area show and Sting was there, but they weren't hyping it up as Sting's last match in Northern California.
Yeah, I was there too. And I was with our buddy Phil from the Bullet Cats and Brandon, and I was sitting with them and I was like, guys, I think this is the last time we'll see Sting in person. And it's definitely his last time in the Bay Area wrestling. So we were like, this is special because it was the 6-man tag. It was him and Adam Copeland and Darby. And so I was like, this is special. This is our last time seeing Sting wrestle in person, especially in the Bay Area. So yeah, you're right. Like on this farewell tour that he is more or less on, they should be hyping up every appearance for him. Yeah. Especially in the local markets that Dynamite or Collision, wherever shows he's going to be on that week. But that's a whole other issue that AEW fans and journalists alike are complaining about. And I know there's been some turnover with from the business side of things as far as the tour, the one guy who's in charge of the live touring and publicity. So hopefully, whoever's the new person takes over, that's something they can focus on. It's like what special stories or things we can really capitalize on promoting for each individual show in that market. What makes this show special? Why you need to come out there. So yeah, you're right. Like Sting, if he's on the show, it's like, yeah, that's a big deal. It's like, come see Sting for the final time in your area.
Exactly. Market it, especially in bigger markets like the Los Angeles area, Northern California, New York. Hey, last time Sting's worked a lot in this area. Never gonna again. So missed opportunity. And a lot of people have criticized them for their promoting of shows. It's like, oh, they promote a bunch of matches and this and that, but a lot of stuff gets promoted last minute, or they don't emphasize on the bigger things that they could be. And I have noticed over the last like 2 months, they've been showing that they're doing more local stuff. Like when they were recently in Oklahoma, they did have Jake Hager do a couple local TV spots, like morning shows and stuff. So good to see.
That's great. And that's what they need to be doing. And so hopefully, that's a new focus going into 2024 for AEW.
Back to Tony Khan real fast in the press conference. He talked about Dana Massey. So Dana Massey was in charge of like merchandising. She's leaving the company. Tony puts Dana over as one of the first people that took his dreams seriously, saying that she is the one that actually had to convince Matt to take the phone call from him, which if he didn't, AEW may never have been a thing. So that's interesting. Because if you remember, Matt Jackson has gone on record saying during that time, him and Nick also had like a 2-hour phone call with Triple H. So,
yeah, wasn't there a rumor that allegedly Hangman was offered main roster money to be on NXT or something like that?
The rumor was that Triple H wanted Hangman to be his next big star. Like he was going to put him in NXT, build him up huge. And like there was a rumor that Triple H was enamored by Hangman Page and thought he was going to be like the next guy or one of. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, Triple H apparently in 2018 really wanted Hangman and thought he can. The rumor, and again, rumor and innuendo, as they say, thought that Hangman was going to be the guy that they can cornerstone NXT around.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting.
Remember, that was the boom of, who was it? So Ciampa was the champion at that point. Finn got the title back again. But yeah, he thought going in 2019, he can get Hangman and may almost build the brand around him.
Interesting. Yeah. What if, as they say. But no, the match itself, the 8-person tag here, it just wasn't that good. I mean, unfortunately,
true.
With the Black Cloud, considering Jericho and the allegations, that I think that was just more the focus, and I think people were more concerned, or the fans there were just voicing their opinion about that, and just I didn't think Sting really looked really good in this match, and
he really didn't do much.
I give AEW credit. They book him strong over this 3 years he's been with AEW, and they put him with people that make him look good in this ring. But this match here, Sting just wasn't having it, man. And I know he's older. I know he's about to retire. But this is definitely a sign. It's like, yeah, man, like he's got to end it soon. So this match was not good performance out of him. It just felt off. I mean, Ricky Starks, we saw flipped off Chris Jericho, where that was kayfabe or that was a shoot there, but flipped him off. Didn't want to work with him, tagged himself out. That was interesting to see. It just, this had no good chemistry with everyone involved.
Right.
Miscommunications, like Jericho and Sting were kind of confused with what they want to do next, and they did stereo frog splash or stinger splashes on the corner, but they were kind of confused where to go next. And just the communication seemed to be off in this match.
At one point, we'll fast forward here a little bit. Big Bill no-sold a couple of moves and just poured down some punches on Jericho to cheers from the crowd. Jericho answered with a drop kick, but ran into Hobbs in a spine buster. It was the world's strongest slam that was hit by Hobbs as well. He went for a second one, but Allen flew in with a coffin splash and Sting, or in a scorpion death drop. Takeshita then came in and dropped Allen right on his head before delivering a double German to both Guevara and Allen. Takeshita then tried a jumping knee on Sting, who ate the first one, but blocked a second one with a scorpion death lock. Don Callis then jumped in with the baseball bat and chased off Sting as Jericho applied a Walls of Jericho on Hobbs. Sting then put the death lock on Takeshita, but Starks broke it up. Coming down to the finish of the match, Sting wanted a death drop on Starks, but Bill came in with a big boot. Allen made the save and sent Bill to the floor, where he met him with the dive. Guevara then went for a dive, but took too long, and Starks flew in with a spear and got a 2 off of it. Starks then went for the Rochambeau, but Guevara escaped, hit the super kick and a GTH. Guevara then followed this up with a shooting star and picked up the victory. So Sammy wins. Of course, he pins Ricky. That's just building up. They're going to get a tag title shot. But then you see Darby sitting in the corner and Sting down on his knees talking to him. Jericho and Sammy walk over, and Jericho just keeps looking at the camera, basically going, hey, we need the shot. We need the shot of all of us together looking at the camera, whether it's this one, you could tell. Jericho's trying to direct, and Darby's just not really having any of it. Finally, you could see kind of, and maybe this is me. I'm interpreting this without no audio. You can't really hear what they're saying or anything. It seems like Sting gets Darby to stand up. They all kind of do the pose together, like, yeah, we won, we're celebrating. But you could tell Darby didn't want any of it. So I don't know if that was he was hurting. I don't know if that was he's mad at Jericho. It's all speculation at this point.
Yeah, well, based on how he conducted himself coming to the ring before the match, you could kind of put two and two together. He probably just want to hurry up and get out of the ring at this point after the victory. So, it's obvious probably his emotions and what he's feeling in that moment, and probably just want to distance himself from Jericho in that time.
So moving forward, and that match itself went 15 and a half minutes, 15 minutes, 40 seconds. But so then we get the TBS title match, and they tell us it's house rules. House rules means that I guess the challenger gets to pick one thing to add to the match or whatever. And they go on to proceed to tell us Abadon has chosen that biting is allowed in this match. I said, the fuck? Biting is allowed in this match?
Maybe she saw an old match of Shayna Baszler biting Becky Lynch, was inspired by that. So I don't know.
So Abadon's another one we need to look at here for a second. Because Abadon, not too long ago, had a shot at the big belt and lost. And literally less than 2 months later, almost exactly 2 months later, is challenging for the TBS title. On October 28th, she lost to Hikaru Shida.
Sorry, it's my brother.
Oh, you're good. She lost to Hikaru Shida.
It's my brother Tommy.
She lost to Hikaru Shida with the women's title on the line. But then 2 months later, granted, they did give her a couple of wins. She beat Kiera Hogan. She beat Trisha Dora. She beat Jasmine Allure. Again, all names that we never see on AEW television anyways, though. So what do those wins really mean? And then her and Thunder Rosa defeated Julia Hart and Sky Blue. But it's like, okay, you just not long ago lost a title match for the big belt, and now you're just going to get another shot for the... Again, is it just they need someone that Julia Hart can beat?
Well, my thing, too, is like they're both kind of like the spooky character right now. So it's
True.
like battle of who's more scary Halloween vibe, spooky wrestler here. So, yeah, you're right. Like Abadon, someone else we have not seen in a long time, is getting a title shot here. And it's just like, why? I mean, they both have similar gimmicks kind of going right now as far as, being who could be the most scary. Well, Abadon is like really over the top with the makeup and her outfit versus Julia Hart was more like, just House of Black vibes, goth vibes. So it's, no, this is another match that kind of came together and I'm like, I don't know if I was really interested. I mean, this could have been just a match on Dynamite for the title on TBS. So, and yeah, the stipulation of biting, I was just like, really? Like, is that your big advantage in this match that you think is going to help you win the title? You're going to bite them?
Exactly.
Like, are you going to bite them till they pass out and that's how you win the title? I mean, think of something that would be better strategy for you to get an advantage to win that title. So, yeah, was not feeling that stipulation as well for the house rules.
So they say that house rules means there's a 20 count instead of a 10 count. Rope breaks don't count, but DQs are heavily enforced except for the one thing that the challenger makes legal, and that was biting.
Gotcha.
The match starts off, and the crowd just starts going, This is spooky. This is spooky. So Abadon fires off with the cutter and a series of corner lariats to follow. There's a boss man slam that got Abadon a 2. Both traded some strikes. There's an exchange that Abadon did win, get the best of. Hart then spun out of a spinning side slam into a crucifix for a 2, as both slowly crawled around the ring, and then they had a little face-off. Hart then got a leg sweep and poured right hands as she sent Abadon to the floor repeatedly. After allowing Abadon back in the ring, Hart choked them in the ropes and reminded referee Aubrey Edwards, no rope breaks, I can keep doing this. She's choking her with the ropes. Abadon then escaped and pulled Hart's throat first into the ropes. Hart then fired off some punches and wore Abadon down till Abadon got an arm breaker in submission. Nothing really to it. Abadon then bit the arm and ran wild. Was this the only time I saw her try to bite? I was like, she bit at her arm, and that was it. Like, you're going to say biting's allowed, and you only have one little slight nibble?
Yeah.
They tried to say something about Abadon did biting in another match, but I don't know. They tried to bring it up. They're like, oh, yeah, she tried to bite this opponent or whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. So she ran wild with some double knees in the corner. Then there was a lung blower spot that got her a 2. Abadon was then cut off in the ropes, and Hart connected with a superplex for a 2 of her own. Hart had the Heartless applied as Abadon had to fight her way out of the submission. There was a swinging side slam that followed by a running knee strike. Hart again cut Abadon off in the ropes, but they knocked down the referee. So Abadon's like trying to climb the ropes or whatever. Sky Blue then appears, shoves Abadon off, and then jumps under the ring. Abadon then gets all mad and pulls Sky Blue out from under the ring. So they're going at it on the outside. Julia Hart then, so she knocks Sky Blue down with a knee. Julia Hart then comes in, knocks down Abadon, throws her back into the ring. Well, throws her into the steps and then back into the ring. Hits her with a moonsault and then just pins her. I'm like, oh, we're done? Like, the finish was abrupt.
Well, this match lacked heat between the two of them as well as competitors, as you mentioned earlier. Just kind of thrown together. I think it just went way too long as well.
11 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah. So, and then, Julia Hart. I mean, she, her finish was the, what's the, oh my God, I'm blanking on her finish there. What is it? It's you're jumping where she I'm blanking on the name, but anyway, it just it looked like she messed up there as well. So I was not feeling this match at all.
Is it over? Oh no, Tony Khan just wrapped up the press conference, the media scrum.
Yeah, it's wow, 2.5 hours.
Well, you got to think though, the first like 40 something minutes of that was nothing. It was just like starting soon screen basically.
Oh, okay. Here, I'm screwed. Oh, yeah. Okay, I see here. Oh, they kept all that in there too. Wow.
Well, because they just ended the live stream, so now I have to go in through the YouTube editor and cut that out.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
But here's a funny comment on the feeling of watching this. Trevor Dame tweets, "I can't believe I just saw a press conference where I both watched a billionaire get grilled about sexual harassment and sexual assault, and one where a time-traveling 40s movie star made him wear a giant hat as she forced reporters to tell her their New Year's resolutions." Yeah.
Well, that's AEW for
it
you
says,
right now.
That has been one of the weirdest wrestling pressers you'll ever see.
Oh God, everyone's gonna be dissecting this media scrum more than the show itself.
So moving forward, I sent out a tweet at this point and I go, I haven't really been vibing with this show. Hopefully this last 3 matches really do something. And I will say, Christian Cage, Adam Copeland, 25 minutes. Basically, it was all just to build up to the table spot. They were just doing a bunch of stuff to get to that flaming table spot. So it's like, the match was cool. They did a lot of good things, but you can tell that it was all like, they're like, you got 25 minutes to go out there, but You're going to hit that table spot before the finish.
Yeah,
So it felt like a lot of filler.
Yeah, exactly. When Christian Cage and Nick Wayne were setting up that table, I'm like, oh, that's gonna be the finish right there.
You know what they should have done? They should have had Shayna be the one to douse it with the lighter fluid, just like Lita.
Yeah.
She's their Lita.
So yeah, you're right. As far as it was a lot of filler, I think to them, I give them credit as the two veterans. They're like, okay, we need to wake up this crowd and get this show back on track and give the people something they want to see. So, you know, they busted their ass beating the crap out of each other. And I'm sure, you know, if you look back last month, which the Swerve versus Hangman, that was, you know, as brutal as that match was, I'm sure they're like, okay, I mean, let's try our best to kind of replicate that, going out there and beating the S out of each other. So, but yeah, it was a lot of filler as far as going into the crowd, up the ramp, up the steps, and jumping off things out there. But coming back into the ring, it was like, okay, the table spot here. But unfortunately, you know, I give them credit for kicking each other's ass, but it was a little bit of a botch finish there. Like they didn't have enough lighter fluid on it, and they couldn't light up at first, and then Adam Copeland had to go out there and apply more lighter fluid, and then Nick Wayne was selling for like 30 seconds on the barricade or the edge of the ring there. And finally, Adam Copeland lights it up, and then he tries to put Nick Wayne through the table, but he oversold it or overthrew him, and he touches the end of the table. The table flips over and doesn't break. So it was just like,
the one other thing with this match that Nigel eventually pointed out. The matches of the TLC, so they had to have tables in this match. They had to use ladders and they had to use chairs. Because once he pulls out the table, Nigel's like, hey, it's the last part. They got the other two or something like that. Also, Toni Storm has jumped the shark. She called out Wendy Richter in the press conference.
Really?
She said, and this is legit, she said, Wendy Richter, I'm going to fuck you up.
Oh, my God. For the younger fans listening to this right now, Wendy Richter was a wrestler from the 80s.
Yeah.
So to anyone who doesn't know,
so it says, when asked about the free agents out there, Toni Storm says, Toni had this to say. There's quite the free agents out there, isn't there? There's money written all over it. Wendy Richter, I'm going to fuck you up.
Yeah, well,
dang. Yep, she's jumped the shark with this character gimmick, whatever you want to call it.
I mean, when you're trying to maintain a younger audience and you're giving a reference that's like a 40-year-old reference, so
what's next? Bring me Cyndi Lauper.
She's gonna come out. Girls just want to have fun, and oh my God.
So as far as this no DQ title match does go, Christian did come out with Nick Wayne, and this is weird. So she's Shayna Wayne, that's her name, but it didn't sound like that's what Justin Roberts called her during his intros. Like it almost sounded like he said Miriam Wayne, but maybe he was trying to say Mother Wayne or something.
Oh, okay.
Because he didn't say Shayna Wayne. He goes, being accompanied to the ring by like Mara and Nick Wayne. I was like, did they change her name? But the commentary was calling her Shayna, so I was like, nope. He just must have had some nickname or whatever. So Copeland attacked Christian right on the ramp, and the two start just going at it, going to ringside. Christian then took a sip of some fans' energy drink and then Sandman'd it on his head. Nigel was trash-talking Copeland at this point, who told him to shut up, and McGinnis quickly obliged. The crowd started chanting TLC as Cage bailed to the floor again, but was sent knee first into the steps by Copeland. Cage escaped through the crowd, up the stairs, and Nick Wayne attacked and got beat up as a result. Copeland disappeared briefly and showed up on the upper area section, whatever, into the crowd. We then saw Copeland dive off of that onto Cage and Wayne. Back at ringside area, Copeland walked to the barricade and hit a diving clothesline. After 10 corner punches in the ring, Cage sidestepped a spear and sent Copeland's shoulder first into the post. Now, here's my question. They kept saying in this match, Christian did the spear first. So, like, on the indies, was that Christian's thing first?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
When I heard that too, I was like, what? Like, I mean, I'm a kid from the Attitude Eras. I remember when Goldberg was doing the spear. like
Rhino, Goldberg. I mean, Rhino's their buddy. They rode the indies with Rhino.
Yeah, exactly. So it's yeah, I was kind of confused by that.
Yeah.
What was the point of that? But yeah, this match was fine for me, but the finish and what happened after the match really just kind of like rolled my eyes like, no, what the hell?
So at one point, Cage decked Copeland with a kendo stick. He then got the kendo stick and was... So this is where Nigel started to do a little too much Nigel. So eventually, Copeland gets the kendo stick, and he's hitting Christian with the stick, and he goes, he's a father, and you're doing this in front of his son. I'm like, okay. So eventually, Christian does get the advantage again, and Nick Wayne hands him the little metal rod from the chair that we know Copeland likes to use. So Copeland ducked a charge, and Christian gets taken down. Copeland got his revenge with the kendo stick shots, as I said. Cage nearly got the metal rod, but Copeland wrestled it away and choked him with it. Copeland then let the hold go and opted to go for a ladder, which got a huge pop from the crowd. He set it up in the corner. Copeland then hit a slingshot on the ladder with Christian's face, but took a little too long to follow it up, and Cage hit him with the kendo stick shot and reverse DDT. Cage then climbed the ladder, but also took too long as Copeland cut him off and tried to go for a superplex, but Cage countered into a sunset flip kind of power bomb, and it looked like Copeland kind of landed on his head a little bit. Commentary even said, that didn't look good. Very bad landing. Cage wanted a suplex to the floor, but Copeland escaped, tried a spear, and Nick Wayne made the save. Copeland then hit an impaler on the chair in the ring. He then tried to go for a concerto, but Nick Wayne again made the save, allowing Cage to go for a low blow for a 2. There's a table set up in the corner. Copeland leapfrogged a spear attempt, launched a chair into the face of Cage, and hit a spear of his own through the table. Shayna Wayne then pulled the referee as Copeland was going for the pin. Copeland then slowly went after Shayna as Nick decked him with the TNT title. Wayne then climbed to the top rope. Well, no, it was like the middle rope or whatever, jumped and hit the Wayne's World on the floor. Copeland was then sent back into the ring where Christian hit him with a kill switch for a 2. Then Cage and Nick got this table. They're getting the lighter fluid all on it. They light it, and then the table goes out. I'm like, oh no. So the table goes out as Christian and Copeland are in the ring trying to do some stuff. Like it just kind of felt weird. Like, are you going to do the Mick Foley spot? Are you going to spear him through the ropes, through the table? What are you going to do? No. He hits him with a regular spear. Copeland dodges one move, hits him with a regular spear, then gets out of the ring with Cage down and realizes, table's out. And Taz has to tell us, well, fire doesn't last that long and you always got to reignite it. What? Okay, Taz.
Yes. Yeah.
You using 30-second lighter fluid or something? So Copeland and Nick Wayne are fighting on the apron, and he hits him a couple times, and then Nick Wayne's kind of like selling it. Copeland's trying to relight the table. He does this successfully, but you still have Nick Wayne there just hanging. Finally, Copeland grabs him, throws him. He barely hits the table with his ass. Table flips over, doesn't break. He then sells like, I love
his whole body.
Yeah, like he's flipping and flopping. And the greatest part here is he's flipping and flopping like a fish out of water. And Shayna's like, my boy. Like she's losing her stuff. Back in the ring, Copeland avoids a belt shot by Cage, low blow, and then the kill switch. So he hits the unpretty, the kill switch, and pins Christian to become the new TNT champion for about 90 seconds.
That finish right there, even though the table spot, the fire table spot with Nick Wayne was a little bit botched, That finish, though,
It's
I
great.
was fine with that. I'm like, yeah, great, happy ending for this story here. Edge finally got a win, or got his win back over Christian, because Christian got the win a few weeks ago on Dynamite. Adam Copeland picks up the win here. TNT champion, the belt. I think Christian has done a really great job to make that title feel important again. Now it's going over to Adam Copeland, who's, you know, a legend in this business. So it's like, okay, it's now going to go over to a baby face. We saw Luchasaurus win it early, the Battle Royal to be the new number one contender. He's a heel right now. It makes sense. Babyface will now face a heel. Oh, this could be a new storyline that can take over on Dynamite or Collision, wherever they want to play this out. But then what happened afterwards really just was a big letdown and sour note for, I think, a lot of people in this match.
So Copeland's in the ring. He's bloody. Like, he had that cut over his eye that swole up throughout this match. That looked bad. And he's in the ring. He's got the title. And then he just stands there for a second because he can feel the crowd has changed when Luchasaurus had gotten in the ring, or kill switch. So he turns around, gets taken down, and then Christian Cage gets up and he whispers something to Kill Switch. And then Kill Switch hands him the contract. Referee's all confused and he goes, no. He opens the contract. Christian signs it, hands it to the referee. Referee goes over to Justin Roberts and is like, yep, we got a title match here. Says that the person who signs this contract can cash it in at any time. It didn't say apparently it didn't say winner of the Battle Royal. It was whoever signs the contract. So if that's the case, then goddamn Kip Sabian should have just grabbed that contract, signed it, and ran before the match even started.
I was gonna say, it didn't matter if you won that Battle Royal. You could take out this person, knock him out, and then run and use that contract to sign off on.
Well, hell no. Since you didn't have to get in the ring right away, while everybody was battling in the Battle Royal, someone should have just stole the contract, ran away, and signed it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God.
So, anyways, start the match. The bell rings. Cage hits a spear and then pins him to regain the title. He then leaves with the Waynes and Kill Switch. And, of course, you got Nigel. Oh, look how proud Mother Wayne is.
For me, it was just like, I wonder what did Christian say to convince, I'm going to keep saying Luchasaurus, convince him to give up that contract. Like, I hope that's something that does not just fall flat or they forget about. I hope that's a detail they acknowledge on Dynamite or something this Wednesday. And like Christian explains himself, like maybe, you know, I have inside dirt on him or something. And I told him I would reveal if he doesn't give me that contract. Like what special power does he have over Luchasaurus that made him give up that contract so fast? So I hope that's something they acknowledge at some point.
So we then get the finals of the Continental Classic. It's Brian Danielson on commentary, but it's Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. I loved this match. I thought this match was great. I thought this match was amazing. And they always say, friends will hit each other harder than they will hit anybody else. And we see that every time we get Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. So, Brian Danielson on the commentary, and I think it was Excalibur that was like, hey, we love that you're here on commentary, but just know, no one can get involved in this match. It's the finals of the Continental Classic. No one can get involved. You got to just sit here, And Danielson's like, I could be biased. But then throughout the match, as he's going, he goes, I was trying to be biased, but Mox, let's go. Get this win. I love that.
He's like, I can't believe I lost to that bum, Eddie Kingston. What was, did they, please remind me, if someone got involved, what was the punishment?
Tony said that if you got involved in the Continental Classic, you'd be fired.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's what he said when they first announced all the rules and everything. He's like, we want this to be a pure tournament, no interference, none of that. And yeah, which I did see the criticism of, so you talk about, you know, DQs are going to be sorely enforced and the rules are going to be enforced and this and that. And all the referees were super lenient with countouts throughout the entire tournament. And then your finals of the Gold League was a no DQ match because it was a triple threat. So,
no, but this match itself, was one of the highlights of the night. Just like you said, they are longtime friends who are beating the shit out of each other. So this was, very hard hitting. My other question: can Eddie Kingston do the motorized slap in the corner without having his other hand go up?
Yeah.
Like, he does this when he's like slapping someone in the corner, and the other hand not actually making contact needs to be flying, wailing in the background. It's like, can you not just do this? Like, sorry, that's the visual. If you're listening to the audio version of this, visually, it's like, why does he need to do this? It just looks goofy when he does it like that.
Yeah.
So, but the match itself, people were commenting like, "Oh, Eddie Kingston got new ring gear. Is that a sign he was going to win tonight?"
So I was literally going to talk about that because Filthy Tom Lawler sent out a tweet. Filthy Tom sends out a tweet when this match starts and goes, "For the first time since I came back to professional wrestling in 2017, Eddie Kingston finally bought some new gear. No way in hell he's losing this."
And it was funny, like they showed the graphic of the new Continental title, but yet the title was sitting on the display in a bag still. So it's like you kind of revealed what the design is. So why is it still in the bag with ROH in the New Japan Strong Open title? And so it was just kind of goofy that they kind of revealed it early on.
Did you notice throughout the entire tournament they kept saying Triple Crown, Triple Crown, Triple Crown, but they changed it tonight. It's not the Triple Crown. They said Eddie Kingston has now won the Continental Crown. Graphics said it and everything. Continental Crown.
So do you know if, or I don't know, maybe the media scrum, maybe they asked this, is this going to be a new title that's defended? Or is this like the Owen Hart tournament where it's like you won it, but that's just your trophy for winning that respected year?
So I don't know. I didn't see anything come from the scrum. I, again, was just checking periodically. But the way they described this was all these three titles are like one, and they're just all going to be defended together at all times or something, which is weird.
Yeah, like I just want to know moving forward, if someone wants the ROH championship, if they win it, they also win the two other titles going forward. So like I said, I don't know all the details. Like I know this was very much inspired, like All Japan Pro Wrestling has the Triple Crown, their version of that started back in the 80s and 90s. So with that being said, I hope this is something they kind of explain over time as well. It's like, is the ROH championship no longer a dedicated title? It's part of this Triple Crown title, Continental Crown. So that's going to be interesting as well, because like I feel like if you have this separate brand that is ROH, you should have a dedicated champion there. So I know there's videos on YouTube that explains what the Triple Crown is and All Japan was back in the day. So, but I'm still kind of confused. I hope this is something they explain, especially for younger fans who don't understand the history of what Triple Crown means, especially in Japanese wrestling.
But then you do have the people that have been criticizing of, Tony just copying more of history and not making things new himself.
True. So, but this match overall, for what it was a fun, great finals. The build for it, the promo between the two of them on Dynamite this week was great. Oh, yeah. So I'm excited that they had this. This was a great match on the card, and considering how kind of terrible this pay-per-view was, this was definitely a big highlight there. And then seeing Eddie Kingston pull off the victory, big comeback when he was down early on in this tournament, come back and win the finals, defeat Moxley. They hug it out. Moxley walks out of the ring, lets Eddie Kingston have his moment in his home state with all three titles up in the air. It was a good feel-good moment to end that match.
So speaking of promos, did you see the video they posted on social media after Dynamite of Bryan Danielson in the back of that truck crying about his loss? So I forgot to mention it earlier. I loved Nigel bringing that up during the 8-man tag, going, "Oh, Bryan Danielson, woe is me, crying in the back of a truck. Oh, I'm not the best wrestler. I'm not the best wrestler." But I think out of all those promos they've been doing, Jay White's have been phenomenal, but none of them are airing on TV. So you're not getting like, oh yeah, Jay White may have lost in this tournament. He didn't make the finals, this, that, whatever. Or he made the finals, but didn't go to the finals. But Jay White was just cutting such great promos every single week, and they're just getting lost on social media. That's the one bad thing. They should have been playing some of these on Collision, on Dynamite, even Rampage.
Yeah.
Just to be like they played the one of Eddie Kingston down and out, all like, woe was me in the hallway. They played that one on a Dynamite. But other than that, I don't remember seeing really any of the other ones. And a lot of them were really good character-driven promos from these guys in the tournament, especially like Eddie Kingston, Danielson, and Jay White. Because I loved Jay White's was all about, hey, I lost, whatever. How many times have I lost before and then come back and done even bigger? Yeah, I've been in tournaments like this before. Have I won? No. But what happened? I became the champion instead. So I loved that from Jay White going, I may have lost a tournament. I made it to the finals, but this doesn't mean I'm down and out. This just means I'm going to strive for something bigger and better.
Exactly. So, I mean, hopefully that's something they learned from this. I mean, it is the first ever time they're doing this tournament.
Yeah.
So I think there was hopefully some learning experience here that they learned how to build off it for next year. And I mean, next year, which they said they're going to do it again, there's a lot of guys on the roster who are not in this tournament that people wanted to see. So next year could be a really stacked tournament next year with, Kenny Omega is the first one that comes to mind. Now we know he's, injured right now and healing up, but that's a name people wanted to see in this tournament. I know there was a report that, like, he turned it down to be in this tournament. So, but with that being said, I think that's a name that people want to see next year. And, maybe you can get some more New Japan names in there or whoever. But no, like I thought it was a success overall, this tournament. A lot of great moments with this tournament that was on Dynamite and Collision, and hopefully they'll use feedback that they get from other people and just how to capitalize on it and make it better even next year. So I'm excited for it.
So the one thing they need to do over this next year is make this Triple Crown or Continental Crown feel important. Because if we go a whole year and this is just like, oh, it's the New Japan Strong Belt. Oh, it's the Ring of Honor belt that kind of gets pushed around, but not. If it just feels like the strong open weight title all year, then why are in storyline why should people care about wanting to fight for this next year if it's not pushed as a very big deal all year?
And that's the thing too, is like, okay, the AEW World title is the number one title in that company. The international title on paper is their second title, second important title. TNT titles after that. So yeah, where does this fall in the pecking order? So I'm with you as far as make it special, like put it up there with the international title. If not, maybe make this like second in command or second tier popular title. I'm excited for Eddie Kingston winning this because I think, when he was over on ROH and he was gone for a while, I think a lot of people missed him on TV. He's an important figure. I think that needs to have a strong presence on Dynamite or Collision every single week. He's an amazing talker. I think for this generation, he's like this generation's Mick Foley.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking this comparison early. He's like a mixture of Mick Foley and I'm forgetting another wrestler that's similar vibes I get from. As far as an underdog, he doesn't have like the big physique, fit physique that you see from like other top wrestlers, but he's amazing on the microphone. You believe every word he says. You want to get behind him and support him and want to see him win, overcoming the odds like a Mick Foley was in the 90s. So I think Eddie Kingston, it's been long overdue, him being on TV and being one of the top stars, main eventers for AEW. He's been gone way too long, and I think they kind of misused him for a long time. They kind of kept him hidden on ROH and, had a storyline where he left AEW for a bit.
That was weird.
I think this is a perfect way to get back on track. Another wrestler here, going back to my thoughts earlier with Miro and some other guys, use this as a reset. It's like, okay, make him feel important. Like, if if on Dynamite the AEW titles feature more there, maybe the Triple Crown feature more on Collision.
Because that's why I liked the tournament, but in the back of my mind, I can never fully get invested in it because I didn't know what they were fighting for.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's why this next year, you got to make this feel big time. But as far as the match does go, there was a little feeling out process early on that led to an exchange of snapmares and kicks to the back. This just pissed the other guy. Each kept pissing each other off, and they were hitting each other harder and harder every shot. Kingston fired off his chops to the neck, and an enziguri sent Moxley to the floor, where a dive resulted in Kingston's head smacking the barricade badly. Kingston then shook it off, but was met with a German suplex from Moxley back inside. To the floor again we go. This time Moxley hit a paradigm shift before waiting for Kingston to beat the count. Danielson said that he can't believe that he lost to this bum, as Kingston shook it off. He got back into the ring and was going for chops, which Moxley blocked. And then there was like a slow-mo kind of like forearm from Kingston that connected really hard. Moxley connected with the pile driver before sinking in an STF, which Kingston did bite his way out of, which is funny. Because, I mean, the match we had, like, not long before this, there was biting allowed. And then he bites more than Abadon bit. Like, Abadon nibbled, he bit. Both men traded some chops, and Kingston was so loud with his chops that it brought Moxley to his knees. Crowd's going wild at this point. More chops from both men. Then they took turns flipping each other off in the process as well. They're switching lariats here and there. Kingston hit an exploder, which Moxley popped right up from. Both stumbled briefly into some spinning back fists, only to have Kingston crumble. Both raised up to their feet, and Kingston unleashed the machine gun chops, sweat bursting from Moxley until a DDT followed. Both took too long to capitalize, as Moxley hit a cutter and a King Kong lariat. Then Danielson brought up, hey, that lariat looked hard. And Taz goes, yeah, you got to be careful with that because you can clothesline somebody too hard and hurt yourself. He said one time he clotheslined Sabu, broke Sabu's jaw, and also injured himself in the process. He said like tendon in his tricep or something, or bicep. So, yeah. I love when Taz kind of like incorporates things that's happened to him in his past as a wrestler and says, hey, so this just happened. This happened to me as well. Here's how I experienced it. I love when Taz does that. He does the callbacks to his career and just kind of give more context on, hey, this just happened. And this is how it happened to me. This is how it can happen to this guy. Maybe this guy needs to try this different. So I love when Taz does that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Kingston at one point got to the ropes and was able to hit a Northern Lights bomb for a 2. Kingston wanted the power bomb, but Moxley exploded out with a lariat for a double down. Moxley hit the lariat so hard that he was clutching his own arm. This is when Taz brought up the stuff with Sabu. There was an exchange of headbutts on their knees. Moxley did win this. There was a slap battle. Kingston answered with some back fists. Moxley then crumbled and got the... So there's a back fist that crumbled Moxley that led to Kingston picking up the victory. Then Bryce Remsburg hands him the 2 titles he already had, the ROH title and the New Japan title. He then goes, grabs the bag, pulls the new belt out of it, and I don't understand Kingston's full like reaction here because he hands him the belt and then he starts laughing, kind of like looking at it like he's laughing at the way it looks, and then he holds all the belts up. He's got the belt up high, the 2 belts on his shoulder. He's Ultimo Dragon.
I don't know, maybe he was just like happy he finally won. He
Right.
achieved all this, or maybe he just was kind of emotionally just caught up in the moment, and the way he expressed himself was just laughing. It seems to was just a natural instinct. But no, very happy for him. Like I said, I really want to see him take off. Like I said, he's been a misused talent on that roster who could be a main eventer on a regular basis that you want to see. He does, like I said, such an amazing job on the microphone that gets you emotionally involved and care about this match. I mean, hell, him and Moxley had one promo this past Wednesday, and I was more invested in this match than any other match on the card.
Oh, yeah. But afterwards, the 2 hug, and Kingston did say, Matt Kurt, rest in peace, which they did bring up Matt Kurt's passing earlier in the show as well. Then we go to our main event, but before that, we have to talk about our sponsor, Upscale Bling. Are you looking to up your accessory game? Why not do so with Upscale Bling? Upscale Bling is your source for in-style chains, watches, rings, and many more awesome products to level up your wardrobe. Not only are their products high quality, but they're also affordable. Don't take just my word for it. Go check them out right now at blingupscale.com. Head over to blingupscale.com right now and use code PW Unlimited at checkout to get 20% off your entire order. Again, that's code PW Unlimited at checkout for 20% off at blingupscale.com. Check it out today. We got our main event. It's the AEW World Title. It's Samoa Joe challenging MJF. And like we talked about earlier, the finish of this match just felt really weird.
Yeah.
The crowd didn't realize it was the finish. The referee didn't even feel like he thought it was the finish. And Joe just wins and then disappears, which is kind of weird too. But cool video package. So Joe comes out first. Then we get a cool video package from, I guess, just people in the community talking up MJF. He's our scumbag. He's our scumbag. He's our scumbag. So then MJF comes out, cool robe. And the crowd starts chanting, he's our scumbag. He's our scumbag. So this is really cool. And then they're in the ring, do the intros, and then MJF points, and out comes Adam Cole. Adam Cole comes out, and Nigel keeps playing this up like it's a huge advantage for MJF because Samoa Joe didn't know he was going to be here. But what can a guy on crutches really do anyways? Other than yell, hey, do this, do that, I got your ring. That's about it. But there was an eye poke early. MJF charged at Joe in the corner, but was planted with a Uranagi right on his bad shoulder. Joe stomped away and trash talked the Long Island crowd before punting their hero repeatedly in the bad arm. Joe then no-sold a chop from the bad arm and hit his signature combo for an atomic drop. It was a big boot and a running senton to the arm. MJF escaped a muscle buster and low-bridged Joe to get enough time to recover and go for a pin, but didn't really get anything off of it. MJF then took too long to go for the kangaroo kick, and Joe grabbed him and booted him. Joe followed this up with the tope and a Death Valley driver back inside the ring for a 2. It was a rolling German and a dragon suplex from Joe, who brought MJF to the apron and then hit a violent-looking muscle buster on the edge of the ring on the bad shoulder. Adam Cole's facial expression was just like, oh, like that was the worst thing he's ever seen. Joe throws him back in, and MJF manages to kick out. Joe then wanted a proper muscle buster, but this time MJF escaped and drove Joe headfirst repeatedly into the buckle. MJF bit Joe, more biting, and wanted the kangaroo kick, but again, failed. Joe kicked him in midair. Joe went to the second rope, and MJF cut him off and wanted to go for a Death Valley driver, but his legs gave out. MJF did connect flush with a double stomp to the arm before delivering a heat seeker for a 2. MJF wanted another, but this time Joe avoided, so MJF rolled through and applied the salt of the earth. Joe rolled through as well, getting an arm breaker of his own. MJF did barely make it to the ropes, but then Joe sank into a rear naked choke. MJF spun and rammed Joe into the referee. MJF then cracked Joe with a low blow, and this time followed it up with an F5, but the referee took too long to recover, and Joe kicked out. MJF wanted Cole to give him the Dynamite Diamond ring, but then Cole like, looking, I don't got it. Oh, wait, no, here it is. So he finds the ring, and MJF nearly got the Bret Piper Mania 8 kick out from the corner, 2 count. Joe reapplied the choke, and MJF faded. Referee then drops the arm once. It falls in front of MJF. This is critical. So he drops the arm, falls in front of MJF. He drops the arm again. It falls on in front of MJF. But then, I'm going to try and recreate this a little bit. They're laying sideways, right? They're laying there. Referee pulls the arm up, lets it go, and it falls onto the side of MJF, like here, instead of in front of him all the way down to the mat. Ref then hesitates. Ref then stops. Ref then pauses, going, and I go, so that's him stopping it. That's his. No, it's not going to hit the mat spot. No, the ref then goes, ring the bell, it's over. I'm like, what? I swear to God, every person in that building was dead silent, didn't know how to react. Not just because MJF lost in Long Island, because everyone, including myself, was confused.
I think because they're so used to seeing guys leg slap in AEW, they're like, oh, he's leg slapping right now. No, but in all seriousness, yeah, I think we were all shocked. It's like, whoa, wait, Samoa Joe won? What? And so MJF, he was champion for what, like 13 months now, almost 14 months. I mean, one day Full Gear last year, so amazing long title reign. But yeah, it felt kind of flat just because like the ref was shocked, the crowd was shocked. It just wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't like decisive enough. Like how the arm did not fully like go down past his body into the ring and the mat. So it was like it was really just shocked to see that happen. And then but yeah, Joe stood up, got the title, posed real quick, and then got out of the ring as fast as he could. And I'm like, oh, this is official. Oh, there's a graphic on the screen. Oh, they're tweeting it out with the graphic. So it's like, oh, he is champion. It's like this title reign is over with. I was shocked. So and the main story, it seemed, was what happened after the match with Adam Cole.
So Joe's got the belt. He's holding it up. Crowd's chanting bullshit. And then he's just, like you said, gips out. Just disappears. Like quick. Very quickly. I don't know if maybe he was told, hey, we're running short on time. Get out of here. I don't know. So Cole gets into the ring post-match. Checks on MJF. All of a sudden, the Devil's henchmen appear and grab both of them, Cole and Max. They got a chair, and they're teasing hitting somebody with it. The henchmen look like they're going to hit Cole. Max is like, don't hit him, hit me. Don't hit him, hit me. Lights go out. Lights are out for a good second or so. They come back, and instead of being hit with the chair, Adam Cole is sitting in the chair. Four henchmen are behind him. Max is like, what? It's been you all along? Holy crap. And I'm just like, I think this is what everybody expected. Henchmen pull off their masks. It's Roderick Strong, Wardlow, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett. Isn't this what 99% of AEW fans or wrestling fans or anybody that's followed any of this predicted? Oh. The only thing that was different is I saw a lot of people thinking not Wardlow, but the returning Kyle O'Reilly.
It's you're right. It was the most predictable outcome as far as who was in the lineup of this faction of the Devil created. If anything, it was the safest, I think, because I know a lot of people are speculating, oh, could it be this person? Could be this person? Could be an outsider? Could be a free agent? Who else on the roster is not being used? Who else has beef with MJF? That makes sense. All these different possibilities and combinations. I'm okay with this reveal. Sometimes the most obvious answer is the right one, right? Because it's a safe one. Because if it was anyone else, like I know a lot of people were hating on the idea, could it be Jungle Boy? Could it be this or that? Dolph Ziggler, whoever, all these different ideas, speculations. I'm okay with it being Adam Cole. Now, big picture, getting to this point took a long time. It was long overdue. I think it would have been better if it was done at All In London when the two of them were in the ring celebrating, turned heel there. But I get it. They were trying to start this Devil story probably later on because that was what, end of August. The Devil stuff started happening, end of September, I want to say, after Arthur Ashe show where Adam Cole got injured that night. And that's the thing. Maybe they had a plan for this story, this Devil story. Maybe they wanted to do it or wrap it up sooner. But
maybe Full Gear.
Maybe Adam Cole's injury kind of prolonged this a little bit because they didn't know how long he was going to be out for. And they're like, maybe hopefully one day someone will do a shoot interview and explain what really happened. I mean, who knows? Maybe they were kind of scrambling and wanted maybe someone else to be in that Devil position. But then they're like, well, Adam Cole's injured, so maybe we have someone else because whoever they reveal, they want probably have that immediate matchup against them. with MJF, but Adam Cole's going to be out for a long time still. So if he reveals himself as the devil, it's not like he can have a match right away with MJF to settle this feud now. So, but as we kind of heard after the show, was it Fightful reporting MJF is going to take some time off. So MJF is going to take time off. I'm guessing this new faction of the New Kingdom, if you want to call it that, I was gonna say Undisputed Kingdom. I think that's a better name for them. But it's like, okay, well, gotta explain their actions now this coming week on Dynamite. Why did they do this? I was looking online, people were kind of speculating, what is Adam Cole's motivation for having this new faction as the devil? And keep in mind, MJF left that mask, the devil mask, in the locker room after All In. The devil and his crew took out Jay White, remember, months ago, because Jay White, remember, he's the one who injured Adam Cole at Forbidden Door last year. They took out the Acclaim because they were trying to help out Max. Adam Cole wanted to push MJF to accept Samoa Joe's help and challenge. Roddy was pissed that he was losing his best friend. The OGK, the original Kingdom, they get the tag titles, ROH tag titles, and Wardlow just hates MJF and wants them to make sure he loses everything. So these guys all have motivation for taking out MJF and people around MJF. But with that being said, I'm just curious how they're going to explain this all up. It got very convoluted. The longer it went, this story got really convoluted. A lot of people were like, okay, this needs to be a big reveal, especially how bad this show was. This needs a big reveal that people are going to be okay with. I'm fine with it. I thought the reveal looked cool, visually looked cool. I'm just glad it's over with now. It's been long overdue, drawn out. I think that's probably the issue. If this would have been revealed sooner, it probably would have felt more impactful, but it just it got dragged on for too long. So I'm fine with it. Fine with this finish for the pay-per-view. Now, where they go from here? I mean, Adam Cole can't wrestle MJF because he's injured. MJF is beat up. Now it's going to take time off. So this is going to be a feud that they're going to settle months from now. So what are they going to do in the meantime for this faction moving forward?
So that's my question is, Adam Cole, since the injury, has been on TV off and on. But it's like, is he still, how often, as the leader of this new group, is he going to be on television? Can he travel every single week with the injury? Been a couple of months, so he should be healed up quite well. But so the thing was, he came to the ring on the crutches, but afterwards, when he and the guys all stood, over MJF, no crutches. So maybe the limitation of the crutches aren't as bad anymore. But that's the big question: is Cole going to be on the show every week, at least on Dynamite, or at least on Collision once, one or the other each week, to keep this going? Because if it's just the guys and you don't have their leader there, it's kind of just going to feel like whatever.
Except I feel like the bloodline without Roman Reigns.
Very true.
If I was going to say, or keep in mind, Brian Pillman, he was on TV even though when he was injured back in the 90s. So, if Adam Cole's at a point now where he's just in the process of healing and just wears his boot, he could still be like a boss calling shots from afar and telling his guys, go do this, my henchman, take out this person and whatnot. So that, I'm fine with this. I was fine with that ending and moving forward with it. But I do want to ask you, so let's look at Samoa Joe, because, big win for him. I think a lot of people are happy to see him win a world title again. It's been a long time. Let's go back a couple months ago when he vacated the ROH TV title. And a lot of people were like, why are you doing that? And he said, well, I want to vacate this because I want to focus on winning the AEW World Championship. Now, in hindsight, was that the right thing?
No.
Or could it have been double champion?
Double champion, because MJF as the world champion still had an ROH title. That was not a problem.
Yep.
But even Tony Khan said it. I think it was on the Final Battle media call before the pay-per-view. He was like, no, we had to get the title off of Joe because we needed Joe to focus himself more on AEW with the storyline than ROH. And it's like, okay, well, your main AEW champion has an ROH title that his partner is not even there. So it's like that was the weird thing there too. It's like, so you're trying to justify one thing, but then the other thing that's actually incorporated with this thing is contradicting it. So it's like Joe could have had both, but I guess in the big picture, it is better that Joe doesn't have the TV title, because then how are you going to get that TV title off of him? You're not going to beat the AEW World Champion with just some rando. Yeah. Kyle Fletcher isn't beating Samoa Joe as the world champion for the TV title.
Yeah. And I do want to give shout out for MJF, an incredible title reign as far as, I mean, his Iron Man match with Bryan Danielson at Revolution, the Four Pillars match, how that played out, that was really good. Even though the build to it was okay, but that match itself was great. Him versus Adam Cole at All In London, Samoa Joe, their first match, the two of them at Grand Slam, him versus Kenny Omega on the episode of Collision, and yeah, tonight's main event. So I do want to give MJF his flowers for a great title reign, and I hope he just heals up. And I think we can all assume that he did re-sign with AEW, if not, even though it's not publicly official yet.
That's where I was getting at next. So they've slowed back the whole "my contract's up on January 1st" thing. No mention of it at all tonight that I heard. I didn't hear any mention of it.
Correct.
And so it's like they're not mentioning it anymore. The bidding war of 2024 is not a thing. So, of course, he had to resign, and that goes into the report from Fightful that reads, quote, "Many of the Fightful spoke to immediately following AEW Worlds End said that they expect MJF to be off TV for a while imminently, if not almost immediately. MJF has sustained a plethora of injuries during his AEW title reign, but was adamant that he wanted to see it through, as MJF is often influential in his own creative. There's always a chance he could insist on an absence not happening, but it's expected internally. MJF has long said that his AEW contract is up at the start of 2024. He's not told anyone any different, but WWE sources have claimed that they have not had any conversations with him, though there was interest going back to last year. However, most in AEW do believe that he re-signed well over a year ago, even though he'd never admit as such." So, I mean, like I said, the last couple of months, they've slowed down the whole, my contract's up at the end of the year, my contract's up at the end of the year, at least the last 2 months, and going into this match. So,
yeah, I think he re-signed.
So do I.
Yeah, so we'll see how if they acknowledge this at all at some point.
Right.
So, but yeah, I like I said, I was cool with the ending with this. Just unfortunate that the pay-per-view overall as a show just one of the not the better ones of
that's true.
AEW's existence. But you know, a lot of stuff to talk about from this pay-per-view as we did tonight. And yeah, I mean, I'll still tune in to Dynamite this week and see where they go with here now, kind of some fresh stories.
So you know what we thought of the show. Now let's check the polls and see what the fans thought as well. We got 3 polls here. We've got the X poll, where 41% thought the show was just all right.
Okay.
34% liked it, and 23% didn't like the show. We look at the YouTube community poll. 48% did like the show. 31% thought it was just all right, and 21% didn't like it. And then the YouTube live poll, 41% liked the show. 32% thought it was just all right, and 26% didn't like the show. So basically, most people thought it was an okay show, it seems like to me. So
yeah, I mean, I think we all kind of agree we're on the same page here. It's if they're gonna go into a monthly pay-per-view format, I really think, you know, you gotta start developing some better storylines, and the week-to-week television is gonna be really important. What you do to build up these feuds, where it has a blow-off match at the pay-per-view. So that's just, it's those little details that are gonna really matter. And as we mentioned, there was a lot of matches on this show that were thrown together last minute, or could have just easily main evented an episode of Dynamite or Collision, or could have been filler on a week-to-week television. These were not all pay-per-view quality matches that deserve pay-per-view time. And especially, you know, if you're going to give us a 4-hour show, give us banger after banger after match here. So I really hope they, look at themselves in 2024. They kind of can correct the course. I mean, 2023, not the best year for AEW. You can make the argument it was probably their worst year as a company for many reasons, from CM Punk to allegations, all that stuff. And so I hope 2024 is going to be a better year for them.
With that, guys, that is going to wrap everything up. I want to say thank you for joining us here. Twitch.tv/PW Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. But Baby Huey, tell them where they can find you.
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter, aka X, as Tim has pointed down here below, at BabyHugh83. I'm also on Instagram at that as well, at BabyHugh83. Facebook.com/BabyHughOfficial. Follow my podcast In the Click. I was on a little bit of a hiatus. My co-host Brian Tronick and I, just to be honest, full transparency. The last few months were just really busy for me at work and just a lot of other stuff going on that it just was really tough to get some new episodes out. So New Year's resolution, get back on track, making more new episodes. There were some great interviews as well. So yeah, follow us at In the Click, subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts at, subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. So In the Click, that's KLIQ. Email us intheclick@gmail.com. And yes, thank you, Tim, for having me on. Always a pleasure talking
anytime.
with you. The hardest working man in pro wrestling media is Tim right there. So, happy New Year to all the clicksters out there, I like to say. And to everyone else listening, thank you for listening to us talk pro wrestling tonight.
With that, guys, have a great rest of your weekend. Have a great New Year's. I'll be back Monday, most likely Monday morning for the wrestling wrap-up, but for sure Monday evening for the Raw Day 1 review show. Me and Luke will be doing that one. So with that, guys, have a great night. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you in the new year, I guess we can say.